When there's nothing left but the fire in my chest and the air that fills my lungs, I'll hold my tears and trade my ears for a glimpse at kingdom come. On the other side of misery, there's a world we long to see. The strife we share will take us there to relief and sovereignty. Oh, my God, we'll have our home again. By God, we'll have our home. By blood or sweat, we'll get there yet. By God, we'll have our home. In our own towns, we're foreigners now. Our names are spat and cursed. The headline smack of another attack, not the last and not the worst. Oh, my fathers, they look down on me. I wonder what they feel to see their noble sons driven down beneath a coward's heel. Oh, my God, we'll have our home again. By God, we'll have our home. By blood or sweat, we'll get there yet. By God, we'll have our home. The road is dark, the way is lost. My eyes, they strain to see. I struggle forth to find a friend to light the way for me. Oh, brothers, can you hear my voice, or am I all alone? If there's no fire to guide my way, then I will start my own. Oh, my God, we'll have our home again. By God, we'll have our home. By blood or sweat, we'll get there yet. By God, we'll have our home. Oh, by God, we'll have our home again. By God, we'll have our home. By blood or sweat, we'll get there yet. By God, we'll have our home.
Our news stories today. Garland faces growing pressure as January 6 investigation widens. Elon Musk takes 9.2% stake in Twitter after hinting at a shakeup. New York City top health official faces backlash after labeling white women birthing people, but calls Black and Hispanic women mothers. Yizz and her white positive picnic is going to be the highlight of the gathering today. We'll have her on around the 8 o'clock hour. And the going free lesson of the day, uncovering your MPs, as well as the MP mixed race people are better looking. Make sure you share the URL with your circles of influence as we are here a little bit later on a Monday rather than a Sunday. Your calls and comments, of course, and this, aside from the presence of anti-whites who call themselves feminists, what's the worst thing about a feminist picnic? Nobody will make the damn sandwiches. But of course, the joke's only true until I say I'm hungry. It is 7. It feels so weird saying it is 7 on Monday evening here in the once great state of Virginia, outside of Mordor on the Potomac. And I guess that makes it 9 in Sydney. And I guess we'll jump over to Moscow, which would be 2 a.m. and midnight in London. We are going free. It's wonderful to be with everybody here today. Let's see. Entropy should be up and running. Wonderful to see you a day late, but not $1 short. But it's fantastic. We had a wonderful picnic on Saturday. Yizz's White Positive Picnic. It was truly glorious. We'll be talking about that. We'll be speaking with Yizz over the course of this gathering. If you would have any questions for me, make sure you reach out. You can do so on Odyssey. You can do so on D Live. You can do so on YouTube. Make sure you tag me as well so that I know you have reached out to me. Otherwise, a Jason or a hey there, ugly, or whatever it might be won't get my attention, at least as much as they used to. So it's wonderful. A kitten with mittens. And there is a ladybug. Hello there, young lady. So is a great Elaine Sabatino is with us. Franklin, the champion. Wonderful to see you. And so is Jerome V. Going to Central is here, and the great ENTD Wilson. Please, since we are a day late and a little bit later, please share the URL so we can get some folks in here for a wonderful gathering where we will undoubtedly be breaking down barriers in ourselves so that we can reclaim our personal destinies, and we can then go about reclaiming the destiny of our loved ones, our friends, our community, our people, our nations, the entirety of the West. There's the great Austin 316, and so is Hyperborean Dream, and the great Yizz the Unifier. She's actually streaming right now. She has her own show going on, but she is so adept. She's able to pop over here and say hello. Wonderful. Raymond Foster is with us. Great to see you. So is the storied and wonderful gentleman Rory Herbert is here. Hello to Jilly. She's here as well. Great to see everybody showing up. There's the great tall Kevin, Odin Sire, fit and healthy at any age. Wonderful, wonderful to see you all. We're going to get underway, I guess, here in just a moment. As I am still saying hello, you can financially gift, as I say, on Entropy, on Cash App. You may also do so on Odyssey, and you can find the URLs for all of those in the description below. Every little bit is deeply appreciated. And there's the one and only inimitable Fornal has just shown up. And I see White has shown up, and there's no spamming allowed. No spamming allowed. And we're going to jump right on over to celebrating our monthly financial... we didn't lose the mic. Our monthly financial gifters who automatically financially gift every single month, and they do so, the vast majority of them pretty typically over the course of the month as well when they feel so moved. This is our honors roll call, and we begin with our all-stars on the honors roll call. And we have user C88 and some more letters and numbers. starting off the honors roll call, and we have honoris as well, and no white guilt. Clips is in the all-star segment. So is George. And who else do we have here? And remember, if you don't hear your name, it's probably because you were over on that terrible platform that I was kicked off of recently, censored, called Patreon. You'll have to find your way over to Subscribe Star or Gumroad. The URLs for all are in the description, or you can find them over at nowhiteguilt.org/links. Continuing with the All-Stars portion of the honors roll call, we have Promethean Healing and Final Blossom, as well as Joseph. And Child of Lindbergh is over there as well. And I think that might be rounding out the All-Stars portion, and we will continue with the rest of the honors roll call. And we have Michigan Wave, and Happy Cat is there as well. So is Diane, and Ben is with us there. Wingit is there. Crux as well. Rockford Trader is over there with us. King Petrus is there. Brad C., true champion, here throughout the week as well. J.P. is there. Wonderful to see you, brother. All-Star Roscoe is there. So is Chris. And checking on Jack, as well as Mark and Josh over there as well. Connor is among the champions. Greg is there. And user 426, some more numbers and letters as well. And then we have W.K. Hendrickson, as well as Rujash, and Liberty Battle, as well as Jacked, Evilian. And rounding out the honors roll call is Scott. Let's get a big round of Raucous emojis for every one of these immortal champions in service of white well-being. We dearly appreciate you all and all that you have done, are doing, and will do in service to white well-being. Champions, every single one of you. Hello, Michigan Wave, White Calling, and who else? Archangel is here. Nice to see you on a Monday. Yes, it's hard to believe, but I am alive on Mondays. And let's see, who else do we have here? Hyperborean Dream is with us. Hello and welcome. Great to see you. And we're going to jump right into exciting things, folks. Exciting things have been happening. We have the picnic, and I think I saw the question of, were there pictures at the picnic? Pictures that we could share. Actually, I don't know how many people would want to share pictures of themselves because of the way the anti-whites slander and misrepresent and attack, vilify, get us fired, get us ostracized, and all of these sorts of things, demonstrating that, of course, the anti-whites are the ones in charge. The anti-white narrative is a complete fallacy. And there's our wonderful composer, and I can't read the letters that you want me to call you, my friend. Says, hail to me. I don't know if you've seen my message from previous live stream. My next release would be first part of the Prometheus Rising Symphony. Oh my gosh. That is splendid. My God, brother, that is wonderful. Thank you so very much. When will this release be? We want to celebrate it. Be the first part of the Prometheus Rising Symphony. How glorious. A true gentleman, talent, and man of the West, and gave his word over a year ago and said he would be producing this. And here it comes. How absolutely exciting. I can't wait to hear what you have created. Really looking forward to that. Great to see you. Alex is with us. Wow, how exciting is that? That's how you get a gathering on a Monday rolling. You find out that the first part of the symphony for Prometheus Rising is about to be released. And we are doing the work on the audio book right now, still testing. And but we'll be underway. We want it to be perfect, or not we're not gonna allow perfect to be the enemy of good, but we want it to be as good as it can be, not second rate, not amateurish. And so that is a matter of working with the different equipment, making sure that it will come out the way we want it to come out, that we are actually creating, and not allow there to be any sort of failing of the equipment during that process. So that's exciting. I'm really looking forward to that. Wow. No, I didn't see what you had that you had written me about that. All right, let's get underway and let's find out what these news stories are about. Wow, I'm just excited about this now. The first part of the symphony, Prometheus Rising. We'll be changing the world, ladies and gentlemen. We've been changing the world, doing so much for so long in the silence of the white sympathetic sphere. It's going to be a deep shame for them as we continue to grow and change the world. It's going to be a deep shame that they were so silent for so long when they could have done so much. And we're going to celebrate right now the great Mrs. Jess Horst, who just financially gifted $25, 25 US dollars. Let's get her a big round of raucous emojis. God bless you and thank you so much, dear lady. Promethean greetings. Love our folk. Hail, she writes with a little white heart emoji. A wonderful woman raising an entire baseball team of white positive kitties. That is magnificent. And thank you so very much for that financial gift. Everything you're doing in service to white well-being. Been around for a long time in service to white well-being. We deeply appreciate it. All right, over here we have Garland faces growing pressure as January 6th investigation widens. Let's find out what they have to say. Washington. Can I touch the microphone? Can I bring it up to my mouth? Does this feel weird on a Monday? It's all right. We'll get through it. Popcorn Power is with us. Alt Media. Hello. Who else do we have over here on D Live? Promethean Reckoning is over there. Thank you for all the celebrating emojis. A little frog with many tentacles. And another one with looks like maybe lightsabers. And then just a basic old frog applauding. Thank you. Those are wonderful. Thank you so much. Let's find out what's going on here with Garland, Washington. Immediately after Merrick B. Garland was sworn in as Attorney General in March of last year, he summoned the top Justice Department officials and the FBI director to his office. He wanted to find out, what ideas do you have on how we can absolutely crush white America? It's probably what he was thinking, but they didn't write that here, so check with CNN. He wanted a detailed briefing on the case that will, in all likelihood, come to define his legacy. The January 6th Patriots Day, when the Patriot lost his innocence. They call it something else here, but I couldn't give a shit. Even though hundreds of people had already been charged. You hear that? Hundreds of people had already been charged. And it's not one of those charge and release programs like they have for the dregs, the filthy, absolute squalid dregs of anti-whites who were burning down cities and halls of records and churches and destroying property that the community had built, statues and the like, destroying these things, tearing them down. And then the anti-whites in the streets made official what the seats made official what the anti-whites in the streets had done. No, those people, there was a lot of charge and release. There was a lot of overcharge and release. There was a lot of undercharge and therefore incorrectly charge and release. No, but these folks, not quite the same. Hundreds of them for showing up on Patriots Day and losing their innocence. Even though hundreds have been charged, Mr. Garland asked to go over and sharpen the guillotine. He wanted to go over the indictments as well in detail, according to two people familiar with the meeting. What were the charges? What evidence did they have? Well, they got in the way of anti-whiteism. Isn't that all they need? and then you'll just make something up, right? That's pretty much what they do. It's shaping up to be a throat punch kind of a day. That's where we are today. How had they built such a sprawling investigation involving all 50 states so fast? Well, isn't it weird how the gears of justice, when we're victimized, they are frozen solid? Are you a mechanic? Do you know somebody who is? Have you ever heard of a car? It could be anything with a transmission that operates gears. And you find out, well, this thing has been left out in the elements, and for 50 years, everything's frozen solid. And the whole thing has to be taken apart, practically beaten apart with a mallet and a chisel. Everything's sanded down. Everything's got to be rebuilt. That's what the justice system looks like. That's how it operates. The so-called justice. There's no justice in Western countries. Are you kidding me? There's no justice whatsoever. But that's what it worked. That's how it operates when we are victimized by anti-whites. They just can't get anything done. It's just so much red tape. They can't get started. And if they do get started, they can't get underway. And if they do get underway, there's some sort of appeal. There's some sort of hiccup. There's always an excuse for not proceeding. Always something. What were the charges? What is the evidence? How have they built such a sprawling investigation involving all 50 states in the galaxy so fast? And what was the plan now? Let's find out together. The Attorney General's deliberative approach has come to frustrate Democrat allies of the White House who want to see literal blood. That's not written here. But again, they were thinking it. And at times, President Senile Biden himself. As recently as last year, Mr. Biden confided to his inner circle that he believed former President Donald J. Trump was a threat to democracy and should be prosecuted. We need to really trash this absolute sycophantic, infantile, and insane worship of this word democracy. That means, of course, controlled by those who disseminate the news. Because how else do you base your opinions? How else do you get your opinions about what's going on beyond your inner circle, beyond your house, beyond your workplace, beyond your lodge? Well, it's brought to you by journalists. And who are they working for? And what is their agenda? They're all anti-white. That's what democracy means. But of course, ask a journalist at CNN. He's a threat to democracy. Unfortunately, you can't just go out, I guess, as maybe a Republican or running as a Republican and tell the country what a joke it is, because all of these people who would potentially vote for you, will suddenly feel like you have stomped all over their favorite kitten, and they won't come to vote. No, democracy is so important. Brad C is here. Great to see you. So's Machiavellius. Great to see you. That he should also, says Biden to this inner circle, according to this author, this journalist, that he should be prosecuted for being a threat to democracy. And this also is according to two people unnamed by this journalist. It's always, they get to do that. They get to say that. Now, if I were to say, two people said, and then fill in the blank with something anti-whites didn't like, you know what the anti-whites at YouTube would do. And while the president has never communicated his frustration directly to Mr. Garland, he has said privately that he wanted Mr. Garland to act less like a ponderous judge and more like a prosecutor who is willing to take decisive action over the events of January 6th. which is called Patriots' Day, the day that the patriot lost his innocence. There is no house that is yours in the United States. It is a house of horrors. Speaking to reporters on Friday, Mr. Garland said that he and the career prosecutors working on the case felt only the pressure, quote, to do the right thing, lying assholes, which meant that they, quote, follow the facts and the law wherever they may lead, and the laws wherever they may lead. Sure, that is not what they do whatsoever. But I don't know, maybe they do. Who knows? But we see all of these, of course. We see all of this, the charges and the railroading. We see all of this, but they're following the law meticulously, particularly like the FBI. You can look back on the internet, and maybe it's still available, what their laboratory was doing a decade plus ago when it came to the need for evidence to get prosecutions. Still, Democrats increasingly urgent calls for the Justice Department to take more aggressive action highlight the tension between the frenetic demands of politics and the methodical pace of one of the biggest prosecutions in the department's history. So you have it there, ladies and gentlemen. When you object to what the anti-whites want to do in the United States, and you show up to demonstrate your objection to what they're doing to Western kind, to white people in Washington, D.C., you show up because you foolishly believe, it's not your fault, you foolishly believe that you could just vote your way out of this, that you could just go up and the people have a voice, because the entirety of your life, you've been told that in democracy, I mean, what a joke this actual article is. They're talking about the practical, I mean, they treat democracy, the word the concept democracy, and in its application, so-called governance, they treat it as though it's something that came down on a third tablet. And then everybody goes to jail who objects to what they want to do in a tyrannical fashion. The people object. Oh, well, then we're just going to send them all to jail. That's what we'll do here in America, where democracy reigns. So all these people show up, tens and scores of thousands show up. I may or may not have been there. And the road, the Constitution, the whole road full as far as the eye could see, human beings packed in there like sardines. The people came to voice they came to object. They learned all their lives how important democracy is. It is practically a religious relic. And they showed up. I mean, it's just a tier above that Grail thing. And they show up to demonstrate that, hey, the people are upset with what you're doing. And these folks are like, beat them down, send them to jail. The biggest prosecution in the Department of Justice history. You can go and people have put up these memes, and they're so true. The anti-whites get out into the streets. Vile, disgusting, vermin. Just a poor excuse for human beings. They get out into the streets, and they burn, and they attack, and they destroy these anti-white terror troops. Law enforcement shows up, and even though they're being murdered by these people, run over with vehicles, we've all seen these videos. I mean, I guess the anti-whites could still on YouTube say it's a conspiracy theory, but go back and look for yourself. I mean, even CNN showed it, but go back and check for yourself. Cops being murdered, run over with vehicles, shot, everything else. And the police down on one knee in front of these anti-white terror troops. Normal, working, tax-paying, law-abiding, military-serving Americans show up at this house of horrors, and the police come out and throw fist punches on them. No kneeling. Oh, no. Fist fighting these normal red-blooded Americans on Patriots' Day, the day the patriot lost his innocence. And then everyone on that day that they could hog tie They're tossed in with the rest at the gallows. Biggest prosecution in nation's history because we've got to have democracy. The voice of the people matters. What a fucking joke. All you anti-white assholes to hell. We have to preserve democracy. And then using facial recognition to track down everybody that they could not arrest on the moment in hog tie. And going out and finding them. And that's what Garland is up to. And that's what senile Joe can't get enough of. That and trying to find out where he is. The country, the state, the county, the neighborhood. Where am I? The Department of Justice, quote, the Department of Justice must move swiftly. Representative Elaine Luria, Democrat of Virginia. Oh, see, once great state of Virginia. I've never heard of her. Luria. I think that's Italian for explosive diarrhea. That's what I think it is. Elaine Explosive Diarrhea, Democrat of Virginia, and a member of the House committee investigating Patriots Day, the day the patriot lost his innocence. She said this last week. She and others on the panel want the department to charge Trump allies with contempt for refusing to comply with the committee's subpoenas. So they must all be hog-tied and beaten endlessly by Luria, again, is Italian for explosive diarrhea. Attorney General Garland, quote, Attorney General Garland, did they put the quotes in the wrong place? Miss Luria said during, a committee hearing, quote, do your job so that we can do ours. So impale all of them so that democracy can make sure the crowd never comes back. Put up the walls and the troops and their machine guns so that the people never come back and can never vex us again outside of our whorehouse here in the center of D.C. because we have to preserve democracy. This article is based on interviews with more than a dozen people, including officials in the Biden administration and people with knowledge of the president's thinking. And they are scared. All of whom asked for anonymity to discuss private conversations. No shit. Really? I mean, they're going after people. They are lynching. They are sending the Stasi out across the country to arrest, prosecute, and jail under the jails every single person. Nothing being said across the regime's media. They're just like, nothing to see here. House on fire, behind airplane crashed into the house, some circus animals running around, and they're like, nothing to see here. Nothing to see. In a statement, Andrew Bates, White House spokesman, Bates. So many ways I can go with that joke. Said the president, don't do it. Said the president believed that Mr. Garland had, quote, decisively restored the independence of the Justice Department. Really? Yeah, I mean, when this is like communist China and everybody's in lockstep, then it's easy to say that, they're acting independently the way we think they should. President Biden is immensely proud, he said, as he furiously worked under his desk, of the Attorney General's service and the administration, and has no role in investigative priorities or decisions, said Mr. Bates. A Justice Department spokesman declined to comment. The January 6th investigation, can you really, did they, come on. A Justice Department, I wonder if he was picked for that name. Because, we have to balance things. Mr. Bates, we need a Mr. Bates. If we have a Mrs. Chaste, we need a Mr. Bates. The January 6th investigation is a test, not just for Mr. Garland, but for Mr. Biden as well. Both men came into office promising to restore the independence. Oh, come on. You're not fooling anybody. The reputation and restore the reputation of the Justice Department. They are totally chopping heads off with a guillotine independently. But because Trump, they say here, had weaponized it for political gain. Yeah, Democrats don't do that. Pull the other one. Let me just jump down through this. What do you think is going to happen next, folks? What exactly you expect to happen? What will happen in the rest of this article is the same sort of Bravo Sierra that Democrats are wont to, pat themselves on the back about. Let's see. Okay, two men did not know each other well when Mr. Biden selected him for the job. Mr. Garland had a closer relationship with Ron Klain, Mr. Biden's chief of staff, than he did with the incoming president. Okay. Now, if Trump had selected somebody, I'm sure he did one person removed because he didn't just pick people he knew, right? These folks would be saying the entire time, well, it was one person removed. Clearly, he's weaponized the process. Here they say he's one away. He's one link away. That makes it totally legitimate. But let's get to the bottom and find out what the final word is here. October, he told reporters that he thought those who defied subpoenas from the House committee investigating the January 6th Patriots Day attack should be prosecuted. All right, well, we're going to see. They continue to expand, of course, the prosecutions of Patriots Day because we have to save democracy from people who object to what the leaders in democracy want to force on everyone. Do you got that? In a totally unrelated article to Mr. Biden and his involvement, or President Biden and his involvement with Garland, cases of cognitive decline more than doubles in older adults over the past decade. London. Everyone forgets where they left their keys every once in a while, but research suggests forgetting things will be the beginning, will be just the beginning of problems for many people. Sometimes it's your keys, sometimes it's where that nuclear missile button is. New research from England finds the number of cases of cognitive decline more than doubled in 10 years, increasing the likelihood of Bidenism, also known as dementia. For the study, researchers used data from more than, and of course, I'm just kidding, I'm being a comedian. Biden is so mentally sharp that we just get confused by his confusion. And we think him to be slipping up repeatedly, although it does seem to be communicative, doesn't it? Or maybe Kamala was just always this dumb as well. She just, though she didn't know how to use her mouth for speaking and having words come out of it, plenty of other things you can do with your mouth. Researchers used data from more than 1.3 million between ages 65 and 99. Really? How many were up there? Taken between 2009 and the end of 2018, more than 50,000 participants went to their doctor with concerns of memory loss. Nearly 15,000 experienced cognitive decline. Hello, visual. Ursa Major. Anglo-Saxon face. J-Link. Great to see you all showing up for the fun we're having here on a Monday. There's been a drive in the past decade to encourage people to seek help earlier from their doctors if they're worried about their memory. And we found that among those over 80, women and people living in more deprived areas were more likely to have a record of memory concern or cognitive decline, and their symptoms were more likely to progress to dementia diagnosis. Here's a tip for you conducting the survey. That's true of nearly all women, any age. And of course, in these deprived areas, you don't get dumb because you're in a deprived area. You're in a deprived area because you're dumb. That's how reality works. And I hope it hurt your feelings. So Brendan Hallam, a PhD candidate, said this at the University of College in London in a media release. While memory concerns remain stable, concerns of cognitive decline doubled between 2009 and 2018 for every 1,000 people who were under observation for possible cognitive issues. There was one new case of cognitive decline. By 2018, there were 3 new cases of cognitive decline. Are we going to see President Biden doing like a commercial for some drug on cognitive decline? I doubt it. It would never sell. Okay, within 3 years following up, memory problems, President Biden, yada, yada. One study limitation was the different ways doctors reported memory concerns and cognitive decline. Some doctors wrote, "Batty is all shit" on the report. More research is needed to look at how many older adults report symptoms of cognitive decline right before getting ready to vote in democracy. The study is published in the Journal of Clinical Epidemiology. And then there's this. Elon Musk takes 9.2%, so that's practically 10%, stake in Twitter after hinting at shakeup. What do you all think of that? This is exciting. This is exciting. This guy tweeted, was it today? Did you all see this tweet? What is it Lennon? Who's the singer of the Wretched song where I said you play it backwards and you get civilization back? We have some more financial gifts coming in. God bless every single one of you. I was this close. I was this close to finding a Jaguar or a Mercedes, something very expensive, and then relieving it of some of the weight that the automobile was suffering with. So God bless you all. Yes, what is that song? Is it just Valerie says Lennon? The Imagine song. You play it backwards, you get civilization back. Somebody needs to tell Musk that. He should tweet. Maybe I should tweet him that. And then we should all like it. And then maybe if there's a snowball's chance in hell, he will see it. And then invite me up for a little tete-a-tete. And before you know it, then we will be changing the world for the better, for everyone in it, of every race, of every background. He tweeted, so the guy's singing, and it's the lyrics for that. And then there's a crowd, and someone in the crowd shoots him, and they celebrate. And I guess when you own 10% of Twitter now, you can do that. And I guess that's one way to give the anti-whites at Twitter the finger. What do you think? Does that make you feel good or what? That he bought 10%. We'll just round up and say 10% of Twitter. You know, they push you around, they push you around, they're pushing you all around. They're pushing us around. You can't do anything, you're right, and they just give you the finger. We're in charge, Whitey. We're in charge. You don't like anti-whiteism? Well, maybe we've got a Garland for you, right? Maybe we'll disappear you like we do in every country the anti-whites take over. Nothing but bastards. Deleting, erasing, censoring into oblivion, white erasing you. Remember, use that concept in your conversation, white erasing us. And so then there comes along this man, and he says, well, you know, I built electric cars. I made that work. I built a payment processor. I think it was the first one. Made that work. I think I'll build rockets, and I made that work. And so now he's like, oh, you're going to push me around? Okay, I'll just take 1/10 of the company. But he's smart. You say, why can't they do that? Why can't he do that with everything? It might actually say in this article here. It probably does. We'll see, though. Bloomberg reports. Pear Lady says, is Elon Musk pro-white or anti-white? He's definitely not white. I would not say white positive in any way, shape, or form. He has the spirit of the West is absolutely ablaze in him. And he is taking charge of his world. We would have tens of thousands of Elon Musks if it weren't for anti-whiteism. But he's out there. He's in an anti-white world. They're pushing him around like there's no tomorrow. And so he pushes back where he can. We would like to empower him. If we could empower Elon Musk and some of these other centimillionaires and a couple other billionaires with Go Free, this practice, it would be over for the anti-whites overnight. Overnight. Could you imagine? Elon Musk, he's just like, okay, I got 10% of Twitter, just launch my own. I'm sure he could very easily launch his own version of Twitter, and it's not going to be one of these gimping things. It just gimps along or something. It's going to immediately explode onto the scene, and then they maybe use the algorithm to uptick and up reward those who speak with the lexicon. All of that rises to the top. The populations of Western countries would learn it overnight, and everybody could get off my back of, you've got words, and words are tough. Words are tough. But wait, what do the anti-whites want us to call them again? Whatever. You're like seals, just like batting your flippers together. You're like cows. You're the bovine head nod. It's a new dance. Whenever the anti-whites say, we got something new for you dummies, and like, okay, what is it? You call us woke, and therefore you all are idiots. Okay. Bloomberg. Elon Musk took a 9.2% stake. I want to find out what you all think as I'm looking at this story. We're at 10 till the top of the hour, which is 8 p.m. on the East Coast. And just a little bit after the top of the hour, we're going to have the one and only Yizz, the unifier, on. So sit tight. We're going to be talking about this wonderful picnic. Things are changing in the world exactly at a nice, slow, steady pace. The way that all things that are built and last are built. 9.2% stake in Twitter Incorporated to become the platform's biggest shareholder a week after hinting he might shake up the social media industry. So I guess it's going to be tough to tell him hit the road when he owns the most shares under this arrangement. Twitter shares search, and because there's something important that I've discovered over the years that most people don't know about owning shares in a company. Why? Because you're told all your life about democracy. And you think that's how it works. But you were dumb, and now I have come to liberate you. Your chains have fallen. You may go free. Twitter shares surged as much as 27% after Musk's purchase was revealed Monday in a regulatory filing. The gain marked the stock's biggest intra-trade increase since its first day of trading following the company's 2013 initial public offering. And the initial public offering, by the way, for most who don't understand, you think, oh, that's the first time it's being sold. No. The friends have already purchased their shares for much less than you do. But check with CNN. The stake is worth about $2.89 billion, so $3 billion, based on Friday's market close. Somebody get my checkbook. Musk, 50, polled his more. Really? Do you have to tell us? Is he 50 years old? They want to make him look bad by sharing his age. And the picture that they used here is a very unflattering picture of him. We all, even the best looking among us, Brad Pitt, for example, you're going to be able to get a picture of him. I'm sure they're out there where he looks wretched. He looks like a child molester or, something like this. That's the world. That's how the human animal, you're going to look great when you want to, and then bad when you're not as focused on it. Or even when you're focused, it's just whatever angle. And so they get this very unflattering photo, and they're like, he's 50. Dum-dum, you could put together all of the money ever made in the world. Whatever. All right, let's go. He polled his more than 80 million followers on Twitter last month, asking them whether the company adheres to the principles of free speech. After more than 70% said no, only 70%, that's pathetic. Who were the remainder? Were they all like the short bus special? I mean, how do you think that Twitter acknowledges or respects freedom of speech? He asked whether a new platform was needed and said he was giving serious thought to starting his own. Given Elon's prior comments about wanting to start a social media company, I would say it's possible that he will increase his stake in Twitter or take a controlling interest in the company sometime soon, said Tom Fort, analyst at D.A. Davidson and Company. Musk has been one of the biggest personalities on Twitter and has regularly run into trouble on the platform. The Tesla Incorporated chief executive officer is currently seeking to exit a 2018 deal with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission that put controls in place related to his tweeting about the electric car makers. They're just on him all the time. It would be so easy. The guy seems like, the little I know and the little I've seen of him, he seems like if he could be presented the Go Free lexicon, the Go Free method, if he could see exactly what we're doing here, he would be on board totally. It's exactly what we need, what all races need to save this country and every Western country from the poison of anti-whiteism. He would be able to identify that. He's a systems guy. He would be able to identify that immediately. Gosh, could you imagine? I would move to Mars for him if he wanted me to work from there for white well-being back here on Earth. The announcement will be yet another major test for new Twitter CEO Parag Agrawal. So the new Twitter CEO, what do you mean it's going to be a new test for him? He has the largest stake of shares. So Parag Agrawal is going to say, "Sir, what would you like?" Or his ass should be gone. Parag Agrawal. Ain't that America? Something to see, babe. Who replaced Jack Dorsey after he unexpectedly resigned in November? What was going on in November? Why did he unexpectedly resign? Agrawal vowed to increase accountability. So punish more people who don't victimize whites. Make decisions faster and to improve product execution. The anti-whites always love that word execution. Liquidate, execution. They love it. Where did Agrawal go? The company set ambitious goals for growth, including increasing annual revenue to $7.5 billion and getting to $7.5 billion. These companies, all of them used discoveries, inventions, research, actual equipment and satellites, landline equipment, etc., that you and I paid for as taxpayers. If you are an American, we paid for this. But they get to, so that's democracy for you. They get to use the public trough, and then they get to keep all of their profits private. It's a good game if you can get the money or get the position. The company set ambitious goals: 7.5 billion and getting to 315 million daily users by the end of 2023. So it looks like maybe Musk won't create his own platform. He'll just be the ruler of the universe for Twitter and slide right in there. I mean, that would be optimal, I would assume. Go through there with a metaphorical hatchet on all the anti-whites who have been kicking us off the platform forever. I mean, I've got nothing but people following me on Twitter, but the number of followers never changes. In fact, it slowly decreases, just like on YouTube. This is the Stasi. You're not fooling us, jackasses. We know exactly what you're doing. You know, right now they're thinking, do you think he knows the hookah bar we go to after work? Musk posted a cryptic meme in December after Twitter announced that Agrawal was taking over from Dorsey as Twitter's CEO. It depicted Agrawal as Soviet director Joseph Stalin. Wow, that's funny. And Dorsey as Soviet secret police head. Wow. Quote, it looks like Elon has his eyes laser set on Twitter, said Wedbush analyst Dan Ives in a research note, adding that the stake could lead to a, quote, more aggressive ownership role. Twitter is particularly vulnerable to outside pressure because unlike Google, Facebook, Amazon, and Snap, the company's founders don't have special voting control. There it is right there. The company has just recovered from activist pressure by Elliott Management that started in 2020, which led Dorsey, who was serving his second stint, oh, really, was that it? As CEO of Twitter, to set a succession plan. So what most of you don't realize, I've discovered over the years, because you've been brought up on this myth, fairy tale of democracy, is that you think that when you buy shares in a company that you have ownership and therefore control to whatever degree of ownership you have over what the company does and over its destiny. You've been lied to. Because almost every company, and very strange here that this did not take place with Twitter, they set in these special voting ownership stipulations so that, and look it up for yourself. Don't take my word for it. Check out CNN, look it up for yourself. But ultimately, the decisions for the company with these special voting situations is retained by those who established that situation. So conceivably, and it might be true, I've never looked into it, I don't care. Maybe one of you know, but conceivably you could have a group of people, and maybe that group is just two, maybe it's just one, maybe it's the family of a company. They might own 1%, maybe half of 1% of the company. They've gotten you to pay for it all, and they retain the right to decide what the company does, the future, what the company does in the future, etc. So please look it up for yourself. But it's this widespread misunderstanding about ownership, and it's kind of the same way with citizenship, isn't it? You're a citizen. You get a vote. You get to decide what happens in the country, in your state, in your county. You get to decide, and really only a select group get to decide what takes place. And if you decide to vote a way they don't like, well, then maybe they will just take steps to get to results that they want anyhow, which of course is all perfectly legal because we live under their thraldom. And I totally agree with whatever they want to do. Finally, we'll do this. Boy, look at this. What a beauty. What a beauty. New York City top health official faces backlash after labeling white women birthing people, but calls Black and Hispanic women mothers. So that seems to be a little accidental reveal by an anti-white, this non-white anti-white woman, and probably had a job street walking, handing out, like postcards and things of this, I'm sure. And just prior to this, and she, because you could tell by how anti-white she is, she had a little reveal there in her verbiage, because what they want for white people, that it reveals right there. What is this whole gender? I've been telling people forever, it's anti-white. Well, Jason, it's not really anti-white, because if you break it down, what they're really trying to do is this comes down to, no, it's just anti-white. It's about hurting white people. Well, no, Jason, you really have to understand there's more to it. There's more. It's anti-white. It's about hurting white people. Where is it implemented? It's where white people are. Where is it? Okay, so it's on and on. It's just anti-white. That's what it is. It's about victim. It's another avenue to victimize white people. And what ends up happening? Well, they slip up. Anti-whites do sometimes, and they're like, "You're birthing people if you're white." We'll take motherhood away. We've taken masculinity away from whitehood. Masculinity away from white people a long time ago. And they got all you women to jump in on it, right? Toxic masculinity. Shame on every one of you who participated in that. And you should spend the rest of your life trying to make up for it. You should want white men to be masculine. Every time you henpeck a white man, you're taking the masculinity out of him. And do you know what's preventing him from being masculine in that moment? It's not you. You think you have all this. Your power comes from other men. Because he knows that other men would show up and stomp him into the ground. And with their fancy uniforms on, they would take him off to jail. So every time you henpeck a white man, you're taking masculinity away. You look around, you're more, where are all the masculine white men? You killed them. They killed that. They killed fatherhood. They went right into the, well, kids don't really need fathers. They just need a mother. Now, and all you women went along with that, didn't you? Not every single one. The women here didn't. Because these are the best women in the world that are white positive. But so many women went along with this. They don't really need a dad. They just need me to coddle them and make them fat for the whole of their lives. That's what we need, is a bunch of feminized white males who become bloated porpoises to roam the landscape so they can become aged white males roaming around, scared about everything. Ever on the lookout for a woman to hide behind. And so now they're coming for you, white ladies. Now it's your motherhood. So how much do you want to bet? There are always these women when stuff like this is written. This is on Pundit, so it's Jim Hoft has written this. So it's going to be like conservative-y. So there's bound to be some woman saying, there'd be some white woman, she'll be saying, we're all mothers. Just stop with them and just totally ignore the fact that it's an attack on white people. Top health official in New York City faced backlash from social media after calling white women birthing people while calling Black and Hispanic women mothers in one of her tweets. Dr. Michelle, of course she's a doctor. Does she have a birth certificate? Michelle Evelyn Morse, the first chief medical officer of the New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. Wow. That sounds like something out of a dystopian novel or movie that they would put a Nazi banner over. Mental hygiene. Posted a series of tweets last month that stirred up outrage. Last month, Morse announced on her Twitter account the expansion of the citywide doula program and midwifery initiative to reduce maternal and infant health inequities. When is this woman going to get a Star Wars-like uniform to wear to work. Okay, so inequities. We've talked about that a lot. You've got to talk about this with your friends, family, and strangers. What does equity in healthcare mean? What is the MC? It means that no white person can be healthier than the sickest non-white person. You just look at how equity is defined. We just saw up in, Washington State or Oregon, where a school board is saying we need equity in the disciplinary actions. And so therefore, it means that we are going to be punishing more white students than actually deserve punishment. And their punishments are going to be worse than they would have been so that we can get to that same. It also means that we will be punishing fewer non-white students, even if they deserve punishment. And the severity of the punishments will be reduced, even if the offense or the infraction calls for a greater punishment. So, healthcare, figure it out. This will be you in your lifetime, unless you're in your 70s or 80s. This is going to be you in your lifetime. It's going to be your kids, your nieces and nephews, your grandkids. They're going to be denied, in my opinion. It's not a fact. It's my opinion. You can check with CNN for the facts. But in my opinion, they're going to be across the West. They're going to be denied health care because some sort of quota of white health will have been achieved. And they won't be able to give out more because giving out more will mean that there is health inequity. You won't be able, the non-white people who are healthy, they won't be able to receive more health care, right? There's only one direction you can go. And that's to not treat white people. And what we already saw that during COVID, for God's sake. It's everywhere. It's happening everywhere. But of course, this is my opinion. Those might have been false reports. Check with anti-whites everywhere. The urgency of this moment is clear. Mortality rates of birthing people are too high, and babies born to Black and Puerto Rican mothers in this city are 3 times more likely to die in the first year of life than babies born to non-Hispanic white birthing people. So you see, that's no way a accident. This was an anti-white, non-white putting it in your face. This anti-white, non-white putting in your face. If you're white, you can't have a father, you can't have masculinity, you can't have a mother, you can't have families. Are white women going to complain yet? Let me tell you what, the only white women who are going to get on this side of the gates are the ones who make amends for all their anti-whiteism. Let's feel for how let's worry about what they're feeling. Let's put them before our children. Let's put them before our husbands. Let's put them before our fathers. Let's put them before our sons. What? You want to do it to the girls too? Yeah. Quote from this doctor, because she was born. She has a birth certificate stapled to it. The urgency of this moment is clear. Mortality rates of birthing people are too high. And babies born to Black and Puerto Rican mothers in this city, mothers. If you're non-white, you're a mother. Finish the sentence, Jason. In this city, or anti-white, non-white, in this city, you are 3 times more likely to die in their first year of life than babies born to, and then you have this other MP, non-Hispanic. But she specifically goes on to non-Hispanic, white, birthing people. No mothers. White people don't get mothers because that destroys families. And then you don't even get a race. You're just non-Hispanic. You're just like an appendage. You are a vestigial appendage on Hispanics. That is what anti-whites have reduced white people to. I'm telling you what, at every doctor's office, everywhere you got to fill out where it says non-Hispanic white, cross through that shit. And you write right in there, I'm a Westman. I am white. I am a member of Western kind. This, and then tell them at the front desk how insulting it is that you are considered a vestigial appendage on the ass of Hispanic people because you are non-Hispanic, white. Yeah, I wonder what Jews would do if instead of saying they're Jews, it was non-Arab Jews. Wonder what they would say if that were the case. You could do it with any group of people. So make no mistake. Oh, look at this. What was I saying at the beginning? I didn't even read down here. Social media users immediately responded to Moore's racist, and the author puts that in quotes. I don't know why, scare quotes, tweet. But it then goes on here to quote somebody tweeting back, quote, "This is why people are losing faith in the medical system. Racism goes both ways." No, it doesn't, retard. Wonderful person. I'm using that word as a part of a joke rather than clinical term. Racism goes both ways. Unbelievable. All right. Well, of course, here we are in the midst of anti-white hell. But, folks, we will return in a moment, and we are going to have with us when we do the one and only, the wonderful Yizz, the Unifier, and we'll be right back.
It's troubling visions dissolve. Her hope in the mirror awaits an end to the song. The day has gone, planet awaits. Once again, the landing crew prepares the shuttle fuel, the suits repaired, and ancient signal begins to be heard. Weapons locked and loaded, it's time. Prometheus, give us rest. We have brought you but taught this. Prometheus, so far to roam. Can you be our final home? is ailing, and landfall so near. A signal hailing, and a shield appears. Prometheus alive, awakes. A voice from creation of all that ever lives. Not fear, but elation for goodness to good gives. A home, not a hideout, for safety takes offense. To the lands where your lives now, forever good defense. Prometheus, you gave us rest. We have brought you the top best. Prometheus, our fatherland, to make our people whole again. Prometheus, we are home. Our fields you sworn to love our home. Prometheus will make our stand, for we will not give up this land.
Would you like to network with white positive people in your area to rid your community of anti-whiteism, to help ensure the well-being of Western kind? If so, please consider joining or creating a Go Free club. Go Free or Going Free clubs are dedicated to teaching the practice of going free of the anti-white meme pathogens preventing Western kind from protecting themselves from anti-whiteism. By forming clubs, white positive members of a community can help each other to overcome the anti-white propaganda they have been infected with by utilizing the teachings of Jason Kuna's book, Go Free. Go Free clubs have been forming throughout Western civilization since October 2021. If you are interested in joining a club, simply reach out to the founder by email, and they will begin the vetting process to ensure you are white positive and willing to positively contribute to the club. You do not need to provide any identifying information to begin the vetting process, but you will need to meet with a club representative in person before joining an in-person meeting. In addition to joining an existing club, please consider forming your own if you live in an area currently lacking a club. Current clubs may be dedicated to entire countries or states, but as membership grows, clubs can begin to form at the city and town level. Mr. V, the founder of the first Go Free Club, is serving as the leader of the other Go Free Club founders. He will walk you through the process of forming your own club. Please reach out to him at gofreeclub@protonmail.com. Please help us to ensure the well-being of Western kind and Western civilization. Thank you.
And what a glorious, glorious time it is to be forming a Go Free Club. And we have, in the midst of the Go Free Clubs getting formed, we have had this wonderful picnic that was created and held and organized by the one and only Yizz the Unifier. I attended it. Other heroes of white well-being attended, and other friends as well. And I will bring forward now the one and only, the Lady of Power, Yizz the Unifier. There she is. How are you doing, sister?
Hello. Hi. I'm doing great, Jason. Can you hear me okay? How's my audio?
Perfect.
All right.
Sounds perfect.
I see you're wearing a very special pendant. So am I.
Oh,
I'm wearing
nice.
my Eindolin like usual.
Beautiful.
And, thank you for having me on to celebrate the wonderful weekend that we had.
Yes. Well, let's start off by telling folks I guess how the idea came to you, and then how you began the process of organizing, and I guess putting together the thoughts, and then the process of organizing this, because this is the kind of thing we need to be doing, and it only happens when people take charge and they make it happen. And it don't
Yep.
need to be you don't need to be Elon Musk to do this. I mean, you can make these. I mean, you do have to be competent. I have so many people that reach out and they say, "Oh, I've got this great idea, and Jason, I'll do 5% of it, and you have to do 95% of it." And I'm like, "Whoa, wait a second." But no, that's not what happened with the great Yizz the Unify. So let's begin
Okay.
there, and then we'll work, because I can't wait to, when I was walking. I'll just tell you this, folks, to whet your appetite. I was walking. I was with Kate, walking up, and there was with the great Jared George, absolutely named perfectly, the force of nature. He is the universe, and she's there. She's cooking. She's chatting. She's got people laughing. She's got. I mean, it's happening all over. You could tell right away who this woman was, because she was the energy. She was the life. She made it happen. And so just whetting your appetite
You're
with that.
too
And I'll
kind,
pass it
Jason.
over to Yizz. Go ahead.
You're too kind. I have the gift of the gab. I am a talented Southerner. That is my God-given talent. And I was inspired a couple of years ago, not just by you, but by other people in the white positive community. The song by Pine Tree Riots. The line in the song about, "If there is no fire to guide my way, I will light my own." That's very inspiring to me. I listen to that song a lot when I work out. When it comes to people in our intersecting spheres of caring about, our people, so often I hear, we got to get together in real life. We got to get together and meet space. We got to build community. And I kept trying to find these. Nobody's building any. And then with the Mises Libertarian crew that I talk to, people talk about building parallel and what should be. And I look around and I try to find people building and doing stuff. Nobody's doing anything. And the list goes on and on. So what I've been doing for the last couple of years is getting into communities and finding out who is willing to actually meet up, organize events, build business connections, trade together, and do stuff like that. And I've sort of been going along for the last couple of years. And starting about 6 or 8 months ago, I had enough people willing to meet with me and go on a big camping trip that I thought, hey, let's put this together and see if I have what it takes. And I did. We had like 33 people or something. Then I wanted to do a picnic. Now, a one-day thing is different because it's not a camping trip. So it's a lot harder for people to come from all over. But we had about 24, 25, I think. It was a pretty good number on Saturday. And I wanted to start having annual events. I think that people like me, you, people that actually want to build real community need to start setting examples, need to walk the walk and as well as talking the talk like you do.
Mm-hmm.
So as such, I made my new community banners that I shared recently on social media. To recapture our destiny, we must build community. And I want to build community. So I have 4 or 5 men that I've met in the, let's call it the parallel building community. There a little bit of Mises, a little bit of dissident right, a little bit of white positivity type of stuff. These are people that care about tradition in the healthy, real way that most real nationalists care about, that kind of thing. And these men want to help me build that here in East Tennessee. So that was 5 or 6 of the guys that you talked to that came in on Friday. Then we had 5 or 6 people from the MAGA Patriot libertarian community I've met. The right-wing libertarian, get off my bottom land, we love guns type of people.
Right.
Good folks, salt of the earth people.
Yeah.
Then we have about 10 or 11 people from the white well-being community, and then 3 or 4 other people that were just sort of loosely connected to all of this through me and my channel. Like that guy that you met that just moved here back from Asia, the guy that lived in Japan and Korea.
Yeah.
Wonderful story he had to share, wasn't it?
Yeah, great guy.
And so these 24 or 25 people came together at my picnic, and the only goal was to get these people unified, get them in front of each other, share the aspirations, the goals, the ideas that we all have. And guess what? Just like I knew, every single person there immediately took to the ideas me and Jason talk about, to the ideas that Reptile and his wife talked about, to the ideas that Prometheus Promulgation talked about. The Go Free lexicon and dialectics, the entire practice of going free, in my opinion, is what I am doing with my meetups and with my life building in Tennessee here. And I think that all of us need to be doing this. People all across the white sympathetic spheres, even if they have signifiers of villainy, or they are caught up in doom dissecting or whatever. They all say that we should be doing what I'm doing. And I want to lead the way, and I want to unify people from all of these different communities and spheres and get all of the productive go-getters and doers used to talking together and meeting together and realizing, hey, getting together and building stuff together is more important than our minor ideological squabbles and the constant headbutting that people in our spheres do. It goes nowhere, and I want to be a solution to that main problem we have in our assorted spheres. And so that's what led me to putting this together. And the Lord blessed us with wonderful weather. We had a little bit of unpleasant wind, but as soon as Jason showed up at lunchtime, that all went away. So we will think that the power of Prometheus came through him to dispel the unpleasant wind. But no, there were no accidents. There were no problems. Everyone got along beautifully. We had wonderful people there, absolutely wonderful people there. And as a testament to the how well that the Go Free method and the Go Free language works, there was a mixed race, non-white person there that was the girlfriend of one of my friends. He met her through this woman. Well, I don't want to spill too much about what he does, but he met her through international language exchange of people that want to do translation work for politics and business. She is a beautiful mixed race woman from Brazil. And I spoke to her with the same lexicon and the same fire and passion about my people that I do in front of you guys. And she was immediately receptive. She felt warm. She felt invited. She even used my lexicon. She used the term anti-white. She said, yes, there are even anti-whites in Brazil. I know this very well because, surprise, she's from Brazil. She's got white family that are just as white as me and you. So she understood and she took to it, and she didn't feel alienated and didn't look at me like a villain at all. And she looked at all the white positive people there like good, based, down to earth people. That is the power of the Go Free method. You can talk about what matters to you. You just have to use the right method to do it. And you will not be a villain anymore. You will be the champion that you are in your heart. That's why you need to go free. So this is also a testament to the Go Free method. That's why I'm glad you had me on to talk about it tonight. So, I know I said a whole lot there real fast. Is there anything you want me to go back over again, or anything you want me to talk about specifically?
Well, I want to point out a couple things for folks, because if Yizz wanted to, if the goal was just to build or to have an event that a lot of people would show up to, she could do, I could do, and Jared George could do. We could throw an event appealing to the lowest common denominator of a crowd whose ideas have been shaped for them by our victimizers. So their ideas of what it looks like, talks like, acts like, speaks like, thinks, supports, dresses like, etc., has all been given them by anti-whites. They have no more contact with some of these ideologies or certainly these periods in history than a very superficial, Hollywood delivered and crafted narrative of those things. These anti-whites, they craft this in such a way as to show this, depict all of these things as the greatest evil in the history of the world, greater than everything else.
Sabotage. It's on purpose.
Yes. And then they tell everyone, if you're going to oppose us, you have to behave like that. You have to look like that. You have to talk like that. Then we find out again and again, like these Azov guys in Ukraine and the rest, again and again in the States, we find out that powerful anti-whites finance these groups. So suddenly they have a bunch of money to have events and people helping them to have events and places that will allow them to have events. And I mean, what a surprise it is. A lot of people are saying it's very strange that that they're being funded. There's nothing strange about it. So if Yizz wanted to go out there and just have an event where a bunch of people showed up, she could appeal to the basest, lowest common denominator of folks who are sick. So it's like talking to people who have an addiction to heroin. And Yizz would then say, hey, you want some heroin? You show up. Of course, all the heroin addicts are going to show up. But no, we're talking about something where there's some commonality, some difference, but one thing that absolutely it must be present, and that is the practice of going free, white positivity, no white negative language, no focusing hate or hatred or ire or focusing on the warts of other groups of people, anything like that whatsoever. This is all white positive. That is absolute prerequisite. It's not only de rigueur, it's a prerequisite to be able. So building health where there is no necessarily desire for it is something that is more of a challenge. So the fact that she has built these things and that people have shown up and people have had a wonderful time and friendships have been made, the fact that she's done this is a colossal accomplishment. Having said that, so we celebrate.
That's
her
sweet
for
of
that.
you to say, Jason.
Well, it's
I don't know
true.
if it's colossal or not, but
No, it's colossal, because this can be that you've done it is proof of the concept. It can be scaled, and it might be 30 some saying that they'll come and 24 showing up, because the weather was supposed to be bad until I showed up and fixed the weather, and it might be that, but it might be in the future it might be 200. It might be 500 folks who end up showing up to these things. Who knows? So the bottom line is that it's a great big thing. At the same time, Yizz has not hidden the energy, the vitality, the faith in the practice, the application of the practice, and the steps that she took to get to these events. So that means you can do it too.
yeah, I document all the steps along the way on my channel, the things that I do. I talk about it in my morning walk videos, how I network with people, what I say to them, the kind of traits I look for in people that are motivated go-getters, how you bring them together, what you say. My whole goal is there's no fire to lead my way. I'm going to light my own. I'm lighting the fire for you guys to follow and do the same that I'm doing. It ain't rocket surgery. Jason gave you the method. Jason is the erudite author scholar. And then I am like the bodhisattva by the road showing you the way. So what you need to do is get out there in your community or whoever you communicate with online. Learn from me. Listen to my morning walk videos, the streams, the people I have on my community streams. Listen to how they talk and what they want to do. People that care about building family. People that care about homeschooling. People that care about building what I want to do. I want to build a Go Free trading post. I want to have Yizz's old country store. I want to help people build, because our enemies destroy. We build. We're the people of light for a reason. We build everything. It comes from us. Our civilization, the thing that made the world the greatest thing, we built all of that. Our people, it's in us. So our strength is not to fight like them, like the certain negative element of the white sympathetic spheres that only want to name, shame, and destroy themselves mostly.
Yeah.
We build. That is how we win. We don't play their game. We do our game and what we're good at. We go free. We have a message of love, not hate. We have a message of positivity, not negative. Positivity for our group, not negativity for another. And we build instead of tear down. That is what I am all about. And you look for people that espouse all four of those things, and you find out who's passionate and who is available. You find some single men. You find some married men. You find some ladies who are really good at growing, like our sister Lady Di, sister Sarah Di, who I said Lady Di because of that royal person a long time ago.
Well, that works for her too.
That works for her too. Our sister Sarah Di, who is great, has a green thumb and good at growing. You meet people who are motivated. You network together. You try to get those people to meet up, like Reptile and his wife. They're doing something in where they live. I almost said where. I'm not going to say that. They want to build community like I am, not too far from here. And the more that we get people motivated, meeting up, making plans, actually buying property together, making businesses together, the more that we are going to take back what's ours. We're going to reclaim our destiny, and we're not going to be villains in the process. Because the more that we succeed where the enemy's structures are failing, the more regular people are going to want to emulate us and want to support us. And that is how we recapture our destiny, which is the whole name of the game. That's what we want, right? So in the spirit of that, let me tell you some successes just from the recent meetup. Lots of the guys that you met that are from the Shieldings event, remember how I told you they were high quality, smart young guys? Yeah. Well, they have two different websites already for cataloging and sharing resumes, work skills, what you can grow, what you can ranch, and that kind of thing on one site. Then they have one that's specifically for sharing jobs, labor, and goods with like-minded people. And I'm getting I almost said his name. Oops. One of the guys that you met, he is adding Brant Danger's School of the West to that list for education and
Awesome.
material for homeschooling. He is adding all of the people in the white well-being community that want to contribute and share goods and services. Reptile is going to be on it. I already have someone that PM'd me during this stream who was at that event saying his mother loved the glassware. You know the tall fellow who's well, I'll just name him because it's not his real name. You remember Bazak from the MAGA Patriot community?
Yes. Yep.
He's the tall, sort of heavy guy, the really big guy that came to my camping trip.
Yeah.
His mother loved Reptile's glassware, and he sent me a message on Discord while we were streaming that said, I would like to contact the people who made the glassware. My mother wants to buy more.
Nice.
This is how it starts. We network together, we share goods, skills, services together, and we build around that. And it's completely legal. It's based out of love. And it's something wonderful that other people will want to emulate, not run away from, because we're not being villains. So the Go Free method, I know I sing your praises a lot, but it is because you have given me the critical element I needed to actually make a difference and feel like I'm building something real that matters. Everything that I was equipped with before this didn't work. And this has worked amazingly well. It was exactly what I needed. And I think everybody who has the same sentiment I do about wanting to build and have a great future based out of positivity you can actually hold and see grow in front of you, you need to go free. That is the critical first step to building in this way. Whether you want to build along, maybe you're a libertarian, maybe you're a paleo-conservative, maybe you're a constitutional American, maybe you're some kind of ethno-nationalist. It doesn't matter what way you come at this. You have to put it into the framework of going free and being a hero in our narrative and rejecting all of the lies of Hollywood and the fake history and all the other stuff. You got to reject all of that and move into the simplistic, wholesome framework of going free to have the success that we all want. And I have proven to you as a proof of concept how it works for the last 2 years. And another part of that was my big testimony about how well received I was and my speech was at that big event in Nashville in front of all those professional men. If the Go Free method had a weak spot, those men would have found it and rejected me. And they gave me a standing ovation. So let that be testament as well. And I pass it back to you, my friend.
No, that is so epically glorious. I love it. I just love it. She's out there in the world, folks, and she's having success after success with the practice of going free and building. How many of you out there? I mean, even appealing to the sickness have which would be so easy, have done anything near this? No, I mean, come on, too few. And part of the reason why, of course, is that when you are playing the villain in the anti-white narrative, you are a wretched person. I mean, and everyone sees you as wretched because you are. I mean, that's the reality. When you are going free, you're engaged in this method, this practice in life, you living it, you are a lover. You're somebody who wants to end the victimization and focused entirely on ending the pain that you see in our people so that we can have a better future, a brighter future for everyone. Because it's under the flag of anti-whiteism, under the rubric of anti-whiteism, with all of their MPs, that they destroy everything that everyone cares about in Western civilization. And everyone needs to. I mean, we become accustomed to things like being able to, at least in some places, speak our mind, being able to object to what the government's doing. I mean, eventually we continue down this path and the anti-whites will make all of that perfectly illegal unless you're objecting to the anti-whites not victimizing white people fast enough and broadly enough. That will be permitted, of course. But I do want to say how fantastic it is that I showed up there, it was a beautiful place, undisclosed place. Beautiful
it was pristine.
Place. It was pristine, absolutely, perfectly used word, pristine, and showed up there, Kate and I, and this woman, this force of nature. She was cooking. She was chatting. She was laughing. She was getting other people talking. She was, as I say, telling jokes, and it was marvelous. I knew exactly. I saw her and I said, "Oh my gosh, That's obvious. I hadn't met Yizz face to face before, and of course I know what she looks like here. And despite what I do say all the time, that this idea that you know, when you meet somebody online, you have these relationships online that somehow might end up being awkward, or you've got to have everything's got to be our IRL, when really it needs to be like a 50-50 to, you know, perfect scenario, IRL and internet. But so not only did I have what I always say happens as a result, which is just this perfect bonhomie, this perfect meeting an old friend for the first time sensation. But I mean, I ran right up to her and gave her a big hug, and it was just, and she's like, "Eat my cooking, eat it." And she can cook. That was another thing too. I mean, it was not like ordinary fare or whatever. I mean,
I made it all myself at home.
Oh my gosh.
Well, except the hot dogs, obviously. I didn't make those. I just bought those at the store. But all the other stuff I made myself.
Oh my gosh, it was wonderful. And everybody was of good spirits, folks who didn't know each other, chatting.
And I vetted and hand selected everybody that was going to be there. That's a big part. You don't just invite randos. You make sure that you select quality, motivated people that are driven by love and all the traits that are conducive to the Go Free method. You want people that you know are motivated by love, passion for their people, want to do what's right, care about truth, want to move away from all this cancer. And you want to attract those motivated people. You don't want to attract hateful people or miserable people or people that are stuck on naming certain groups or casting aspersions instead of working on themselves. Everyone at the event, even those that were a little heavy, are in the process of bettering themselves, being healthier, building families, looking for wives, or already have wives and raising children. Those are the kind of people I select. Give me the 20 men that can move a mountain instead of the 1,000 people that are too lazy to move. And that's the kind of people I tried to fill the event with. And every person there was that way.
Yes, it's like the 20 men that can move a mountain versus the 1,000 that are waiting for erosion.
Yeah.
To get rid of it. I mean, it's so true. And so I want to paint a bit of a picture for folks without giving away anything. So we're talking about a beautifully forested area, rolling a mountainous region, and picturesque valleys, lakes, rainbows we saw, and cattle, sheep, horses, little, small farms, not big industrial.
Did you see the ostrich farm nearby?
No, I
There's
didn't
an
see that.
ostrich farm too nearby. Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. So birds.
They're a lot easier to ranch for meat than cattle because they're okay on a lot of steep terrain. So you can clear off trees on a crappy old hill that you can never have livestock on, but a whole mess of ostriches will walk all over it. So the people ostrich farm instead of beef farm around here.
That is funny. Well, I was talking with Kate about these the mount. They cleared a lot of mountainous terrain. It's all it's a lot of mountains. It's this Blue Ridge, magical place. And cattle, all of the horses too, but didn't see any ostriches. But I was thinking this would be the perfect for dirt bike riding and four-wheeling. It was just, oh my gosh. I started I'm driving along. I'm just fantasizing about not being in the car, but being on a four-wheeler on one of these mountains. But so crystal clear streams and birds of prey in the air, beautiful little birds, bird song around, kingfishers, everything just marvelous. And fish almost just leaping out of the water, and really glorious. And I imagine in the next couple of weeks, as the temperature continues to warm for spring and more wakes up from the winter slumber, it'd be even more miraculous. But it was in this milieu that this event was held by Yizz there. And so I went up, and there was this structure where more than enough ample picnic tables. And just like she said, she showed this on one of her videos, and you can see this actual building. And so the bathrooms there, nothing to want for. I mean, the food, you had drink, you had everything you needed, and good people. And immediately as I walked up, there was handshakes, there were hugs, and I had folks walking up to me, and all smiles, no fear. Like you go to some of these. And I can really have the right to speak on this sort of thing. It feels like I've been to innumerable conferences, meetings, etc. And there was something genuinely different about this. And it was clearly, I mean, these folks, for example, I met so many great champions, but they were using, and I'll name whom I can, but they were using the lexicon, and it was like transformative and transporting to a future that you could see reaching the totality of our brothers and sisters, rather than the sort of conversations that take place at these sort of events, which are one of two things. It's either mired in some antiquity, where it's a lamentation about the past and nothing can be done, or it's some sort of like hateful screed that no one you care about, no one you work with would ever heed for a millisecond. And so in those, please talk to it. And
I was just
I'll
going to
come
say,
back to that.
and you can tell immediately right away, the guys who want to build with me, the 5 or 6 men that you're talking about that you heard use the lexicon and we're talking about going free and all that, they learned it from me. All of them got the book at the event. You gave me that big box of books to give. The well-dressed, dapper guy that I talked about, Ford, he's wanting to contact you about buying Go Free books in bulk, because a lot of the former alt-right guys, Unite the Right guys who realized all that's not going to work, he talks to a lot of them, because like me, that's the crew he started off with in the mid to late aughts, right? Mm-hmm. Well, he already knows that people in those circles are realizing the strength of the lexicon and what we're doing. And so he's going to start handing out those books and giving them to the meetings that he goes to, and getting people on board with doing exactly what I'm doing and exactly what he is now inspired to do with his friends where he lives. And he's going to start, excuse me, I've been talking all day. This is my 4th stream already. I've been celebrating all day.
That's awesome.
But he said that he wants to reach out to you and find a way to buy your books in bulk so he can give them out 10, 20, 30 at a time to people. And he wants to inspire all of the people who realize, hey, we've been a part of this thing. What we thought isn't true. We're realizing all these ideas and language, they're not working. This Go Free stuff and what Jason and Yizz are doing is really working. They're motivating people. They're getting actual people with careers and money and family motivated and interested. We want to do that too. And so he wants to adapt, or not adapt, but inspire those people to actually go free instead of just talking about certain pieces of the lexicon being good. He wants them to actually do what we're doing, what he's doing now. And that one little, the one thin guy that was reading your book heavily at the end, remember, that was reading Go Free at the end?
Oh my gosh!
Before we left, he finished the whole thing before they got home that night.
Wow!
And he loves it. He thinks it's great. He said that it was so easy to read, but also so brilliant at the same time. So he can't wait to tell his circle of friends about it and get his people to start talking about it. And this is a guy who wasn't at the big Nashville event. This is a guy who just knows me and Don the Pleb and Sniper, and just came because he's local and he knows us through my channel and stuff. So the where I'm going with all this is the men there that you talked to, you could tell they were genuinely moved and inspired, not just by my personality, but by the Go Free method, because they learned through me the application, the praxis of Go Free, not just the academic side of it, but they saw it in practice. They saw it being implemented, and they wanted what I was selling. They wanted to be what I am. And that is the whole nature of what we want to build together. And I'm glad that you recognize that in the guys that I've been working with personally, because they believe in this method, because we all want the same thing in the end. We want to be in control of our own destiny. It's a mix of going back and going forward to get us to where we want to be. It's implementing the new to reestablish the good parts of the old. And we all want the same end result, basically, with maybe just a little bit of differences we can all squabble about once we actually recapture our destiny. So I'm glad that you were able to pick up on the genuine power that you feel from these men. And you know that they're not, like we say a lot of times, you can tell sometimes, like with the meeting experience you've had, you're around people and they're still negative minded. They're still a villain internally. And you feel bad for them because you know they're not going to have any success. None of those guys you met, none of them feel like they're a villain, do they, Jason?
No, not at all.
These men are all champions that want to build and inspire people around them. And I'm very thankful that I'm in a position to put all this together. And I'm very thankful, of course, like I said on my stream when you were over there earlier, I'm thankful to you. This is because of you and what you've spent decades of your life building for us. And you deserve credit for that, because none of this would have happened if it wasn't what you put the labor in for. So thank you.
No, thank you very much for that. Very meaningful, and especially after so many years of people who should have been doing the exact opposite of what they 180-degree opposite of behaving the way that they have ended up behaving. Friends as well. But I want folks to know. Thank you so much. Yes, I want folks to know that really what the fundamental difference between this picnic and all of those other meetings and conferences I have been at is that at all of those other meetings and conferences, there is a sense of imminent or inevitable failure by way of attrition. It's foreboding. It's in the background. It's like an ether all around you, that there's this inevitable defeat by attrition, and that you are finding the people who attend out in the world one by one. We'll find the few remaining ones and we'll pluck them out, and the people who agree, the people who are, and we'll pluck them out for any number of reasons. It could be that they're cranks, they don't agree with the system, they don't get along with anybody, whatever it is. You pluck them out and you get them together in a meeting, and you're like, okay, this is it. The world is crowding in around us, and eventually it'll all be over. And if we can find anybody else out there that already agrees with us, we should, to get them to come to the next meeting, so the meeting gets a person bigger before the end when it's all over. That is the sensation of every single other conference and meeting over 2+ decades. That's at its. There is all of the claims you can see. I mean, if you have the eyes to see and the ears to hear, you can see the superficiality of this. We're going to build a party, and this we're going to build a political movement, or we're going to build. It is always at its substance impossible,
because it's still inside the anti-white narrative.
Precisely, everybody knows it. The difference here was that every participant felt like a powerful node in and of themselves, a living white light of energy that could take what is brewing there, this wholesome, salubrious thing, out into the world, and that touch of light with everyone that they come into contact with. That's a completely different thing from everything else in the white sympathetic sphere. And it obviously has made people very jealous, and it's a reality too bad. But I've met Promethean promulgation.
And no white guilt clips.
No white guilt clips was there. Reptile, and a wonderful guest he brought, I don't know if we could say of his, was there. I mean, it was magnificent. Truly. Other wonderful people. Can't say their names. The wonderful folks that Yizz has alluded to and spoken about were there, met those people. These are real folks. Look at this. I don't know if you can see where this Reptile and his wonderful, lovely guest gave this. I mean, I can't really see it. I'll have to take it off, get it up close to it's a new pendant that he made. It's glorious. I love it. I think they both worked on it. It's magnificent. And the conversations we had, it was so inspiring. All of these people to meet. I want to say this. I genuinely feel this. To be able to meet Promethean Promulgation, No White Guilt Clips, Reptile and his guests, and the others, it was like meeting celebrities. To meet Yizz, it was like meeting a celebrity for me. I loved it. These people are true heroes. Some of those folks traveled. We're not going to say exactly how far any individual traveled, but some of them traveled gigantic distance. We're talking about like 20-hour drives. So
about 5 of the people there came from the middle of the country.
So
just to be here. Yeah.
For a picnic. This wasn't
a one-day picnic.
Yeah, this wasn't a big conference like Amarin is, and you're gonna get to dress fancy, and everybody enjoys that. And they're gonna feed you there, and it's a couple days, and you're gonna have hobnobbing over a couple days. This was a picnic that people drove like 20 hours to get to.
Yep.
And I'll tell you what, it was worth it. If you missed it, you're going to want to make the next one, because the
I
difference.
wouldn't be surprised if we have 100 people there next year.
I wouldn't either. It's the difference between that feeling, that dread of all of these other events where we're just finding the ones who already agree, and we hope to get them into a meeting so that we can all die together, versus an environment where there's this true light, this feeling of, well, there's levity, this feeling of just like this lightness, that because we know what we're doing is working, we know what we're actually motivated by, and we know that every single person there is going to be able to go out into the world and spread this love, hope, and redemption to their communities. It's completely different. I can't explain. If you have been, folks, if you have been to meetings and conferences in the past and you're honest with yourself, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This is the 180-degree opposite. People weren't talking for the point of being pretentious and showing how many books that they have read. You know what I'm talking about. You've been to those conferences. You've been to those meetings. They want to talk about every book that's on their shelf, and all the big readers and all the big thinkers and all the big politicians, all the big philosophers, so the whole thing, you wonder, where do we get together so I could see these people try to compete to show how bright they are, how many things they've read, or folks get together, and you got the other end of the spectrum where they want to make bigger claims about the violence they'll do at some point in the future, or the violence that will be visited upon them in their bunker that they have established to be impenetrable to any sort of. I'm just, those conversations are childish. Some of them might even be, at least, if not legitimately illegal, interpreted as illegal, and definitely immoral by our ordinary brothers and sisters in the world. You don't want to be in that environment. This was glorious. These people,
and like I've always said, since I've started doing this, we have to have morality, pristine behavior at the forefront of what we do, because that is not only how you attract and inspire others, but it is a shield against our enemies. Because if you are doing truly positive, moral things, it is much more difficult for our enemies to hang us with legality. And that's why the morality and the pristine behavior, the pristine language, that's why going free is so important. It is an immense shield against our enemies using legalities to trip us up and destroy us. Yeah. I'm not saying they still couldn't if they put all their weight behind it. Of course they could. They control everything for the most part. But at least it inspires and attracts positive-minded people who will build and do stuff. And it's also a good shield against the anti-whites who want to take us down with legality. So,
yeah, absolutely. Certainly, there are many different, you say, like tiers of how going free, implementing the practice of going free, works for the individual, and therefore our race as a whole. Mm-hmm. And one of those, of course, is what Yizz is talking about right there. Everything we were doing there, everything we were talking about was totally legal. You go to these other meetings and these other groups where they're talking about violence, or they're talking about some sort of political agenda that's never going to go. And we all know it's never going to go anywhere. They sit around and they bitch about how they should be able to say X, Y, or Z because the anti-whites are allowed to do and say X, Y, or Z. Well, get over it. You're not allowed to. I mean, how many decades? I was done with that after the first year of hearing folks talk like that. I said, yeah.
And the whole day, not a single slur, almost no cuss words, nobody talking about group A or group B or blaming anything on the you-know-who. It was the entire event, all 9 or 10 hours of it, could have been on primetime TV in a sitcom, and no one would have batted an eye at what we were doing or saying.
Precisely.
And everybody there is white positive, focused on our country, our people, building the future, the kind of things that all of the people in our connected sympathetic spheres want, but we are actually making it happen. And it's because of the Go Free method and pristine behavior. That's how we're going to win. That is how we will rebuild and reclaim, is that.
Amen. Exactly. Well, and we stayed out there, Yizz had this scheduled from in the morning until sunset. And it was, the people were having a great time the entire time. Yeah, definitely do not miss this. What are some of the other things I wanted to mention? The testimonials. Reptile and his wonderful guest, their testimonial of going free was just it was worthy of shedding tears over it. It's worthy of a book. You're right. It's worthy of shedding tears over just the miraculous turnaround from where Reptile, and this is a extremely talented, hardworking people. I mean, it's not, these are good
and he's
folks.
likable too. He's likable and funny. He's a great guy.
He is absolutely a great guy. They're wonderful people. I mean, just the kind of folks you absolutely would want to have as your neighbors, want to have as family. And but their testimony, absolutely just heart moving. And I really cherish every moment I had with every one of them. But people had so much. Well, one of the things and there was a lot of productive talk, as you mentioned, Yizz, earlier when we
people
had
talking about getting business together. People talking about me introducing. Hey, I got a cousin that's this age and she's looking for a man. Oh yeah, my brother's this and that. Let's get them together. It's like it's all the things that all of the people that hate on you say that we should do, and we're actually out here doing it, making it happen.
Yes.
So give us credit where credit's due, you jerks, or at least start emulating us and doing the right thing and go free and leave all that other failed garbage alone. You'll have a better life, and you'll actually start doing the crap that you say we all need to do.
Right. Yeah, precisely. That's exactly what they need to do. Yeah, get away from all of that stuff, and we're clearly the future. We're going to be. We can cross barriers with different sects of religion. We can cross barriers, different types of different segments of the countries across the West.
And going free even allows mixed race and non-white people to participate and be genuinely respected and loved while they help us reclaim our destiny. None of the other stuff has breathing room for that. So you automatically lose all those good people.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, that's just, and so many folks who could participate in service to white well-being, putting an end to anti-whiteism, who feel a calling to put an end to this great evil, whether they actually are focused on Western kind or not, they feel a calling. They can't participate in any of those other vehicles and endeavors. They can't give their time, their genius, their efforts, their financial resources. They can't do any of that because they're unwanted, they're hated, they're despised. But they're not.
Good example is that the family from India, the Dot Indians, not the Tomahawk Indians. There's a family of people from India. The mother and father moved over here in the 60s. Their children, they had children late. Their children went to school with my husband, and one of them went to my high school, but he was a lot older than me. They started a pair of gas stations. I think I've mentioned them before on your channel.
I think so.
Their children, they completely adapted and aligned to the archetype of the West. Their kids talk like us. They wear jeans and cowboy boots. They go to church. They're Christians. They look obviously racially, ethnically Indian, right?
Right.
But if I used Ant Nat slogans or old WN slogans and I spoke hatred, do you think those people would like me? No. But those people are a productive, healthy, moral pillar of my local community. I go get gas there all the time. I buy a Dr. Enough soda pop from them all the time. They know my name. They know my family. And just because they happen to have a different race than me doesn't mean that I have to hate them or my ideology, my behavior has to ostracize them. No, it's the opposite, you morons. You make them conform to our archetype by enticing them with love and acceptance and fellowship. And that doesn't mean that you cuck on Civnat stuff. What it means is you are providing what our ancestors did in the first place. You said, look at my great civilization. If you are nice and act accordingly, we will allow you to build with us. That is the paradigm that we need to set. It needs to be ours. We control our destiny. We control our lands. We control our culture. And when that's the case, and the focus is on us and that, you have allowances for people who happen to not be your race or happen to not be your religion, as long as they conform to the things that matter and participate in white well-being together.
Right. Amen to that. And one of the things that I was thinking about a moment ago about No White Guilt Clips, talking about doing things, getting together. No White Guilt Clips, folks. He's a great guy, and he's a hard worker. and he could use some help. If you see a part of a stream that you think, hey, this might be a really good clip, if No White Guilt clips were to make it into a clip, reach out to him and give him the hour, minute, second mark of where it begins, because his biggest hardship is not the actual, believe it or not, him making me sound fantastic is not the most difficult thing, which he does a beautiful job at, but it's finding the parts that might be really worth clipping. So if you know of segments that might be really worth clipping, make sure that you let him know. How do you let him know? Well, he's in the live chats all the time. He's in the threads under the videos. That's one of the easiest ways, of course, to reach out and speak with him. Like I said, just let him know. Give him, don't say, hey, you know what, on that 10-hour stream Jason did a year ago, kind of like 2/3 or maybe like a quarter and a half to the, toward the end of it, there's a good part. No, he doesn't. He's already busy. He's already doing things. Participate, get in, do some things yourself. You'll feel better for it. You'll feel like you're accomplishing something, you're changing the world, and you will be, because this is the practice that works, the lexicon, the dialectics that work. And you know what, Yizz, as I'm going to get your final thoughts here in a moment, have you tell folks where they can find you and when you're on. But I predict that as we had this great success, this was one of the areas, this IRL, this meeting in person, this event thing, that Ant Nats and the rest, they thought, well, we got a corner on this. And so the Going Free folks, they haven't done that. And so now that
I say that we do it better than they do.
Oh,
better than they ever have. Because I've been to some meetings like you're talking about. Only a couple with my cousin. And it was mostly old people that were miserable and bitter. It wasn't motivated, wealthy, talented young men. Well, I say wealthy, motivated, employed young men that have potential to power. And right. that's almost 100% of who was at that meeting.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, we had bass guitarist was there.
Mm-hmm.
He was based as all hell. We had so many magnificent folks, and with the energy and the tools to change the world. And that, as a consequence, I predict anti-whites, or the Ant Nats, which many of them are going to be cryptos, as we see these anti-whites financing these things. It happens all the time. Suddenly they come out, oh yeah, it's one of these radical anti-whites was financing it the whole time. What a surprise. Well, we're going to see them
are you really surprised to find out anti-whites are funding something that's harmful to Western kind?
I know it. That's going
Imagine my shock, right?
I know. Imagine my shock. I predict that they'll be showing up and complaining more and misrepresenting more initially here. Now that this has gone off with no hitch, they need to try to turn people away, and it's just not going to happen. Yeah,
we're too pristine for that.
We are too pristine, and those wins we felt at that picnic, those were the winds of change. And yes. Those Ant Nats out there, they better realize, and the anti-whites with them, they better realize the winds of change are blowing. They were blowing from on top of that hill down into the valley and across this planet, and we're making it happen. It's just going to be one event, one person at a time. Communities will spread, and it will look the way that community and that region looks. So it's not going to be like one uniform, but there's going to be a uniform lexicon, because that's the key, the skeleton key that takes down.
And a uniform focus on the prosperity and the focus on Western kind and white well-being.
Amen.
That is where it's at. And
Amen.
if you don't have that at the forefront of what you're building, then what the hell are you doing at this point?
Exactly.
You've got 85 years of failure to show you the way not to do things.
Yeah.
I've been doing this for 2 years. I'm showing you what works. I'm building with Jason's method. My passion, of course, but Jason's method allowed me to build and do all of this. To go into to other communities, academic agents community, Uzulu's community, the Sargon of Akkad's liberalist community. I go to Mises libertarians too. Or I don't know if I'm saying it. I think it's Mises or Mises libertarians. Yeah. Like going into their community, talking to people, meeting them there, being just like I am with you guys. I don't change my language or pretend to be something I'm not. I go there, I speak my truth, I share my passion. They like me. None of the other ant-nat garbage or doom dissecting can allow you to do that. None of it.
Yeah, and you know, on top of it's the ant-nat garbage, the conservative garbage, it's all the conservative, so it's abstractionist, everything else just abstractionist. It just like doesn't matter to people. All of it fails. It's been failing for our lives, our parents' lives, our grandparents' lives, their parents' lives, back and back. This works though, so we're gonna keep moving with it. But I mean, you just said something there. What was it specifically? It was about the ant-nat argument, and then I was building on top of that.
Was it the you've seen 80 years of failure to know what doesn't work? Is that what you're going to talk about?
I mean, clearly that's we have, but it is what I want to say is meshed with that. We have all of these years of failure to know what doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't have to say something other than what's in our heart, which is you see with ant-nats, and you see even with conservatives, you'll see when you go out to the public, you have to only share this little bit, because if they know conservatives, ant-nats, they know that if you show them everything the way you feel, you're going to turn everybody off. Well, if your position is that if you show them everything, whether you're conservative or a libertarian or an ant-nat or whatever it is, your position is that if you show your brothers and sisters everything, that they're going to run like hell, you are in the wrong place. You're doing the wrong thing. You have the wrong focus. You have the wrong ideas. You're being led around by victimizers of ours, and you need to put an end to it. You need to go free. You hear it all the time in these circles that, well, you've got to only show them a little bit. The first time you talk to them, you can only show them like a little bit of who and what we really are. And then later a little bit more, and then later a little bit more, and later a little bit more. And what do you have them chained in your basement? How do this is nonsense. This is nonsense. This show them a little bit more and a little bit more. You might have a single touch with people.
I let everybody around me feel my righteous indignation against the anti-whites. And you know what? I don't have a filter, and people love me. They don't think I'm a villain or a hater. They think I'm a passionate person who cares about what's right, what's just, and loves her people and her culture.
Amen.
And that's how we all should be.
Yes.
And nobody's going to shirk away from that.
No.
That speaks to the truth in all Westmen.
Yes. Can you imagine? I just have to, and I'm going to get your final thought, and then where folks can find you, when your show, so they can absolutely, everybody go over. You got to subscribe to it. But can you imagine, folks, that for all these years, the whole time you've been alive, everywhere else you've looked in the white sympathetic sphere, it's just a reality. There's some good people out there, but it's just a reality. And white sympathy is, everything from the white negative ant-nat type of speech to these abstractionists like the conservatives, libertarians, and et al. Everywhere you go with that, these folks are confronted, just to summarize, these folks are confronted with the problem of having to conceal their totality of their beliefs. And then you ask people of various abilities to articulate anything. You ask them at that moment to be careful, only share a bit, and then a tiny bit more and a tiny bit more. And then maybe you can convince somebody. The consequence of that is that you end up appealing to people, only the people who already agree with you, to a various percentage. With what we do, we come in contact with people, and we can lay our love, all those cards on the table, and we can say, are you going to be the immoral one in this room? Imagine the difference. I mean, for God's sakes, see the fundamental difference between the individual actor with agency who's going free and everyone else in the white sympathetic sphere. When they go to friends, family, and strangers with those approaches, what the different outcomes are. For Christ's sake, for God's sake, folks, make the right decision. Sister, your final thoughts and where folks can find you and when your shows are live.
My final thoughts are easy. When you go free, you win. And when you don't, you lose. I lost for a lot of years, and now I'm winning. And I have the same passion and the same desires now as when I was losing. The difference is the framework of ideas, because words are how we think outside of our mind to others, and it's what constrains our thoughts in our own minds. And so when you go free, Jason very aptly named what that is. You're going free from the mental and spiritual bondage that keeps you from realizing your potential and unlocking that potential in others. Be the curative contagion and help us reclaim our destiny. There's my final thoughts.
I love it. That's glorious. And where can folks find you?
You can find me at Yizz the Eunuch here on YouTube. I did my big community stream about the event and had on like 12 people earlier.
I was there too.
Jason was there too. It was a good time. You can find that on my YouTube. I do my morning walks on all my platforms. On Monday nights, Discordant Dragons is not on YouTube, so you should follow me on Odyssey, DLive, and Entropy. The same name on all of those. I used to have a link tree until I got banned with everyone else, and so I can't just share all of my links easily in one spot because the anti-whites took that from me too. Yeah. So I don't have an easy link to just put in the chat for you to get to all of my places. And I don't know if we have a moderator. I think I saw Fornelius here a minute ago.
Fornell is here.
Fornell, if you could please share my Odyssey and my YouTube link in the chat, I would appreciate that. You can follow me there. You can find me at Yizz the Eunuch on Telegram, Gab, Minds.com. My email, if you want to reach out to me for setting up a conversation, or if you have a meetup or some kind of gathering you want me to speak at, you can reach me at yizztheeunuch@protonmail.com. On Twitter, my Twitter gets banned every year, so I don't try to promote it because it's just going to get taken from me again. So I'm Yizz Cognito on Twitter for as long as it lasts, but I just have it to communicate with people. I'm not trying to grow there. So if you like Twitter and that's the way you like to communicate, you can add me there, but I'm just there because some people refuse to use anything else, and I like to keep tabs on certain content creators. So that's why I have a Twitter. But on Monday nights, I do Discordant Dragons. It's a fun variety stream where I type out personalities and questions for 5 different make-believe fantasy dragons. And I do so with a very clever lens of going free to have these dragons speak their lofty worldly wisdom about what's going on in clown world news, but through a lens that makes people take steps towards realizing that going free is the correct way of things. And Olivia Key of this community is my co-host. She's there with me every Monday night. We have a great time together. We have on people from not just the white positive sphere, but from all over the different communities I'm part of as assembled parties of between 4 and 7 people every Monday night for a fun, lighthearted, but also meaningful stream. That's the main thing I work on every week. That's Monday nights at 6 p.m. Not on YouTube because we talk about the news and that gets my channel strikes on YouTube for some reason. So that's over on Odyssey, DLive, and Entropy. Please come follow me, learn from me, learn my successes, and learn from my failures when I have those too. But I haven't been failing with the Go Free method. I've only been succeeding. And that's 2 years of documented proof on my channel of what Go Free has done for me and helped me enrich the lives of people around me and help me build real community with real people that are motivated and dedicated. And I want you to learn from me because I want you to do it too. You need to learn from me and you need to do it too. So I think I've talked enough. I invite everyone to come to my picnic next year. It should be a blast. Come eat my cooking. Come help me get others to go free and let this movement really grow like it should. So thank you again, Jason. This is because of you. You deserve credit. Thank you.
Well, it's all of us. I do appreciate it so much, though. You shows what kind of character you have.
The boulder up the mountain takes all of our hands on it, but you pointed at which boulder we need to push. Let's put it that way. Okay.
I'll accept that then. Thank you so much. But let's get a big round of August emojis as she goes out here, folks. The great Yizz the Unifier, true champion for white well-being. And then as we step back, we'll be right back. But as we step back, we'll hear briefly in a video here from another great champion of white well-being having massive success on the other side of planet Earth. It works everywhere, and we'll be right back.
Hey, it's Garland. This is Raymond from the Australian Vanguard. I'm just walking down to my local shopping centre, and I'm going to go in and grab myself a coffee. With this. Let's see if I get some good reactions. Take it easy. G'day. Reactions have been freaking awesome. I've got old women smiling at me. I've got people running up to high-five me. I've got old men and women driving past, like grandmas, beeping and like sticking their hands out the window, giving me thumbs up. Like every second person's giving me a thumbs up and smiling. People are saying, good job, mate, good job. I'm saying, love yourself, and they're like, that's right. It works. It works. No White Guilt was right. It's about time people start listening.
That is absolutely amazing. Was that not wonderful to talk with Yizz about that? And then we have the great Raymond Foster on the other side of planet Earth, the skeleton key that defeats anti-whiteism, defeats it everywhere. Fortunately, in a way for us, it is the thing that victimizes us all over planet Earth. That means that we can cure it and fix it all over planet Earth. These are going to be the people that the stories will be written about. They'll be the legends in the history books that our children and grandchildren will be studying in years to come. And it is a great honor to be able to be part of that real. It's like living a movie. You are living a movie, and where you have crescendos, and you have marriages, you have sadness, you have births, you have triumphs, you have people coming out of it's the hero's journey. And to see so many people, they go from the place of unrecognized potential. They go from, in fact, headed in a direction that might even be suicide. But many of them, many more, heading the direction of ultimately an infliction of suicide by many other means. White flighting into drugs, white flighting into bad scenarios, white flighting into Fed posting, white flighting into criminality, white flighting into saying we should be able to do this or that for the totality of the rest of their lives. And then what happens in their relationships with their wives, with their husbands, with their children. You can see what happens. 90% of the children of these big content creators that everybody says they're doing the right thing, their kids end up hating them. And their kids end up going out and being anti-white. How much more evidence do you need? I mean, the folks in the white sympathetic sphere, as I say, implicit, explicit, from Aunt Nat to your most Mayberry, moronish, just a conservative type of individual. Abstractionist is what the way we refer to it, because it's just all these it's the abstractions that white people create that matter. The white people could just be gone. That's their opinion. It's okay if other people's white erase us from our own countries, as long as our ideas are still there. The abstractions, nonsense. All of these folks, they see endless failure, and the mature thing to do for them is to say, okay, that's true. It's been nothing but decade after decade after decade of failure. And then if they want to make the argument, well, even though it's been that way all along, and there's no real evidence that it's going to get it suddenly change, we're still going to stick with it, because whatever, right? If they want to make that argument, then they can. But that's not what they've been doing. And it's shameful, and shame on every single one of them. Shame on them for the folks who've been ignoring us, trying to kill us with silence. Shame on all of those who have been misrepresenting. Shame on those who come in here, who claim to care about white people, and they show up and they want to slander. They come to the platform to slander and to tell endless lies to undermine the work that we're doing, because it doesn't look the way that they've invested themselves, or because they're actually anti-whites, cryptos, just pretending to be white sympathetic, white negative with their language here, abstractionists with their language there, just anti-whites at work. Obviously, how many times do we have to find these big organizations? When it was the group in Ukraine that right now everybody is realizing and they're talking about, isn't this odd that the ADL, who said that they were a legitimate group, and that they're okay with them because the way that they're fighting, and to find out the financiers and the rest. It was that group I was in a conversation, I think it was Tutar, where I was thinking about this the other day. I was thinking, I know that they came up and I said, undoubtedly, they're going to end up being funded and permitted to exist by anti-whites. Lo and behold. What a surprise. But it's so shocking. Shame on every one of those folks. You know, they're going to be showing up with hat in hand as we recapture our destiny. All right. Let's jump on to some of these financial gifts. I'm going to first go over to Odyssey because I think there's a couple over there. And I see White Well-Being Advocate is there. We're going to be not going a lot longer. It's Monday, it's not Sunday. That's a little bit of a different day for me and the things that I have to do. So there won't be calls tonight, regrettably, but we'll get back to calls next Sunday. And we'll go the normal time then next Sunday. But we have over here 5 library tokens gifted to us by Who'da Thunk It. This was actually almost an hour ago, it looks like. He writes here, and hello to you, Who'da Thunk It. Thank you very much for those tokens. Regarding Azov Statement Hollywood, producers fund actors of both the heroes and the villains in their stories. That's right. He also says, great stream. And says that he's listening. A little bit, I think a little sick, but is listening. That's great. Yeah, they do. And then we also have a 1 token gifted by Bardo, and writes here, I just moved back to East Tennessee this winter. How can I contact Yizz to join the local community? Well, I'm sure she's in the live chat over on YouTube. Looks like she's also here on Odyssey. So you can speak with her there. That's wonderful. That's how easy it works. But you know what's going to end up happening, of course. You are going to have to be white positive. So I hope you are already headed down that path, or you will decide to head down that path, because you're not going to be able to, it's not one of these previous types of get-togethers, meetings, conferences, where everybody can show up with a variety of ideas and white negativity, doom documenting, doom dissecting, and then you kind of hash it out. You just talk about it and who might be, well, is it this group or is it that? Is it this political ideology or that political ideology? No. No, not doing that. Build a tree house and then invite a bunch of other 7-year-olds over, if that's what you want to do. And we have over here on D-Live, hello to everybody. Spartan is here. And Hallandier is here. Great to see you. Hello to everybody. Believe is here. Western Bizmaker is here. Great to see you, brother. All right. Yizz is over there as well. Fantastic. Now, I want everybody to get a really raucous, wild emojis out. Shake them up. The little crazy emojis. Shake them up. Because we have here Dude Bro Moment, who financially gifted $50 $50. God bless you, brother. Thank you so very much. Been just an unbelievable champ since this guy has shown up. Really appreciate you. Thank you. Glad I caught the show for white well-being. Amen. Thank you so much. And keep those wild, raucous, fanatical emojis going, hyped up on whatever sugar products you have. For the one and only Slots, who is financially gifted over on Cash App, $100. God bless you, brother. Thank you so very much. A champion. He shows up. He financially gifts. He's in the chats on Twitter. He's battling the anti-whites. He's introducing people to the lexicon. Folks who follow him, who see his comments, they're picking it up. They're picking up the lexicon. Don't even know that they're doing good for Western kind, for Western civilization, and everybody who calls Western civilization home. Slots is a true champion, one of our best. Thank you so much, brother. $100 from that great champion. I'm having to check Cash App on the phone rather than on the desktop. It's not quite working yet. It looks like over there. They may be, I guess they're having an issue. But we'll continue with, if you have questions or comments, make sure you tag me over the course of this stream. I know I saw somebody who wrote something, and I'll have to go back because I'm not sure I followed. I was listening to Yizz while she was talking. It was something about other groups talking about concealing their power level. And this is something I've heard elsewhere, and I'm not sure if I'm understanding it. Perhaps this person can chime in or somebody else can. But your power level in other groups, other spheres, is considered how much you know, or it's determined by how much you know about what's going on. And then you have to, in those circles rather, conceal your power level to some degree when you talk to others. Because if you reveal your whole power level, they'll just run. Something is fundamentally wrong when you have something to share that causes our brothers and sisters to run. Something there is fundamentally wrong. So thank you for sharing that about what happens elsewhere. This verbiage actually given to, if I'm understanding it correctly, actually given to this phenomenon of concealing what you know. And then this is how they end up misunderstanding us, because they see we're talking about love and they say that must be some version of us concealing our power level where they're talking about love. So they must be concerned with optics. No, it's the exact opposite. We don't want any optics. Optics is not an issue. Optics is your issue. Optics is an issue when you are ugly. Optics, when a woman is most unlovely, she puts on lots and lots of face paint. That's called optics. Okay? She wears Spanx. I should have never known what that product was. Never. That's called optics. Men, you'll see, they'll put lifts in their shoes. That's optics. So we're not worried about optics. We're worried about being ourselves. We're worried about being real. We're worried about whether you go to church or not, you know what it means, your Sunday best. We're worried about being the best people we can be, whatever that is. We're worried about our true heart and concern for our children, our people, our most vulnerable members, that being seen by all of our brothers and sisters. That's what we're worried about. And if you're in a place where you're worried about optics, then you need to get out of there fast. You are not in a healthy environment if you're worried about optics. We have, let's see, the great, oh my gosh, folks, Richard Wagner, our Richard Wagner is back. Let's get him a round of raucous emojis. $3 financial gift from the one and only, our very own Richard Wagner. He writes here, thank you for all your teachings. They helped me get through the toughest moments in my life. Me and my fiancé will be naming our first child, Jason, after you. And then he says, I guess it's a new composition dedicated to you. Oh my God. Oh my God. That is fantastic. Big rounds of raucous emojis for our Richard Wagner, who this is the first time I've seen him back. This is glorious. $3 financial gift. Thank you for all your teachings. They helped me get through the toughest moments in my life. Listen to that testimonial. God bless you for sharing that with everybody. Me and my fiance will be naming our first child, Jason, after you. What an honor that is. What an absolute honor. God, thank you both. Thank you so much. And then he has a new composition dedicated to me. I'm going to get that up. We're going to play that. When we go to break, I'll pull it up. That is fantastic. Richard Wagner, my Lord. What an absolute wonderful people we have in this community. The best of characters. The best people. You just had Yizz on, and she's been going on about how it's disgusting. She was at the picnic as well. She's disgusted with folks not acknowledging, it's ultimately what we all are doing. They're not acknowledging the success we're having. They're not acknowledging the changing of lives for the better. They're not acknowledging the children being born. They're not acknowledging the families being started. And families started in white well-being, not just families started because two people who both liked, early politics in the 1900s or something, they ended up meeting and everybody else hates them, so they get married. We're talking about people coming together in love for our people. In love for our people. That's happening here, and they're ignoring it everywhere, misrepresenting it everywhere. And for her to come out and be so vociferous and articulate about it says a lot about her character. People like our Richard Wagner here coming out and being open about it says so much about the character of the kind of people who pick this up. Make no mistake. These are going to be the best folks there. This is the cream of the crop. These are going to be the best folks you'll ever know. The kind of people that you would absolutely want to have as family members. So that's fantastic. My gosh, I can't believe it. We have one other, DB Cooper, named, and his lovely wife, Going Free. He bought a bunch of copies of Go Free, I think, for his whole church. What kind of people are the folks at church? I mean, if they're not going to be the most delicate about how you focus and how you treat everyone, and these people are taking this information, and they named their son Jason as well. This is so exciting to me. I'm so tickled. I love it. That is, Richard, that is really fantastic. Much love to you and your wonderful fiancé. I cannot wait. This is glorious. What a gentleman and champion he is. So you know the talent of that guy, the kind of things that he's already done. So my goodness. We have Mrs. Jess Horse came back again with another $25. Let's get a round of raucous emojis for this wonderful lady, Mrs. Jess Horse. And that's a $50 total financially gifting here. That is beautiful. And she says, with that $25, as you already know, I wasn't able to make it to the picnic over the weekend. However, I would like to contribute a bit to the gas since it was burned since it was so burned. All right. These days to get around. Yes, exactly. And a little white heart emoji. Precisely. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. I didn't have to resort to the siphon hose, which actually it's when I may or may not have had to do that just to be able to get around to work and back home. The vehicles these days have a little like a little obstruction in the tube that runs down to the tank. Makes it a little bit more difficult if you were to do such a thing. And if you were to do such a thing, you got to be a bit like Robin Hood. You don't take from the folks who are hand to mouth, and you don't take all either. But that would just be what I would advise if I had ever done such a thing. So thank you so much, Mrs. Jess Horse. That is wonderful. What a true lady and champion. Yizz the Unifier with $5 financial gifts. This woman is everywhere. She is absolutely a force of nature. $5, and she writes here, weekly folk tithe for white well-being. Promethean hails, the greatest community on earth! Exclamation point and a white heart emoji. God bless you. Thank you, Yizz, for everything that you do. She's even when being interviewed for a great accomplishment, she's still financially gifting $5 for her folk tithing for white well-being. That's fantastic. Here we have the great Rory Herbert, financially gifting $10. God bless you, brother. Wonderful to see you. He writes, I was discussing marmot well-being with Carlisle in Yizz's chat, and she mentioned how she loved Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. Some years ago, I was in a town called Intercourse, PA, and an Amish gentleman parked next to me in his horse and buggy and helped me with directions. What is your opinion of the Amish? I thought you were going to ask me about intercourse. With me, it's fantastic. It is fantastic. Now, the Amish, they are I've only met a few, and everyone I met, wonderful people, really wonderful people. And I bought Amish bacon, not made with Amish people, but Amish bacon a couple of times. And it was, even with my lackluster cooking abilities, it was some of the most succulent, amazing bacon I have ever, and you know me, I am a bacon connoisseur. Bacon connoisseur. I actually have, just to interrupt myself, I have a Eastern cottontail that lives somewhere nearby, maybe just in the yard. And he is so massive. I have taken to calling him Bunosaurus. And I have a trail camera out to get pictures of Bunosaurus. And I will share with you all some of the Brobdingnagian proportions of Bunosaurus. I don't know why. This rabbit, I guess, it reminded me of, I don't know if I've told you all the tale of Goosadactyl. Have I told you all the tale of Goosadactyl? I'll let you all respond. We have a little bit of a delay. I decreased it from 3 to 2 minutes, and I might decrease it to 1 minute. The reason why the delay went into place was because we were having Sarah die on. We had too many folks especially the previous week, too many folks talking about anything but the subject matter of what they were watching, what was on. And it's perfectly fine to have, side conversation. But when those side conversations become all that's being discussed in the live chat, that's problematic. That, of course, would have been rude, very rude to Sarah Dye and Carissa, wonderful ladies. And so we didn't want that to take place. It also, on the other side of the coin, makes it harder for Ant Nats and crypto anti-whites or open anti-whites and et cetera to come in as trolls and cause problems, because they one thing they really don't like is to have their ability to endlessly type into the chat undermined. They lose it the moment, a troll. That's one of the things you don't know about trolls. It's sunlight and a restriction on keyboard usage. Those two things, they will come unglued. Waylon says, doesn't know the story of Goosadactyl. So does Austin. Don't know the story of Goosadactyl. Reptile knows the Hoppy Monster. No, but it's not Hoppy Monster, but it might be a descendant of Hoppy Monster. I won't tell Hoppy Monster today. We'll tell Hoppy Monster maybe next Sunday. Remind me. And I'll break out the picture of Hoppy Monster. But this is Bunosaurus. Goosadactyl. I was returning from work one day, pulling into I had to park couldn't park where I lived because I was renting a space, a room, and I didn't have a space to park. So I had to park a ways away in the parking lot of a building that restricted the vehicles that parked there. So you say, how did you do it, Jason? How did I do it? Well, what I did was I went into the lobby. I looked at the businesses that were there. And I then created my own pass to be in the parking lot because they towed people. By God, they threatened you with towing and fine, all kinds of crazy stuff. And they did. And they were heartless with your vehicle. So I just created my own pass because I knew the security guards were walking around and looking. Now, I did not know, I didn't see any specific pass that all of these, so they didn't have like a single pass for all of them. Some of them did have, some of the cars there did have like different company things posted, but I didn't see things that would prevent me or really undermine my effort. So I won't say in any specific detail. You can work this out if you want to do it on your own, but just created a pass. It just went on the car. It changed every so often. And the worst that I ever had was they would put a big sticker over the driver's side window, the security, and it would obstruct vision, and it was a pain to get it off, real pain. In fact, you could see people driving around town with like, where they tried to take, and it was just a mess. You know, they couldn't see the sticker part, like the outside part, but the glued part was still there. It was a mess. What ended up happening there, though, was I got into this mode where I thought I want to create a scenario where I invest less effort in removing the sticker than the security guard invested putting the sticker on. So it's a big warning. We're going to tow you. We're going to fine you. But that wasn't the big thing was you just couldn't see through it, interfere with driving. It was a mess. So one of the first things I did was, as I recall, was I invested in the first thing I did was I used a goo gone for taking stickers off, and I squirted that all over it, and it stank, and I still had to peel and scrape. It was a pain. So clearly investing more effort than the security guard. Then I purchased one of those. It's got like the handle of a screwdriver, but the front of it is a replaceable razor blade. And I was able to get that sticker off in seconds, but it was still and clean. So you see right through, but it was still, this was just like a personal challenge for me. It was still though more effort invested than just unpeeling, putting it on the window. So I finally figured it out. The glue of the stickers is setting into the pores, however minuscule, in the glass. So fill in the pores of the glass, the glue has nothing to stick to, right? I used the product called Rain X to do that. I'm not endorsing them because they would probably demand that the anti-whites at YouTube take the channel down, and they probably would. So I'm not endorsing them. But I just wiped it on there. It's perfectly clear. You see right through it. It's meant to shed water. And on the hunch that if it filled the pores, the sticker would come off. The next time that security guard put that sticker on, I came out to my car and I saw it. I reached up with one just thumb and index finger, and I went, came right off. Less effort than it took to peel it off that paper and put it on. But anyhow, that was a side story to a side story. That's how it works sometimes. I'm a Southerner. You have to live with it. And I was pulling up into the parking lot of this building to park. And I saw this, as I'm pulling up near the front door to this building, I saw the biggest Canadian goose in history. I'm not kidding. It was walking. It wasn't fly. I don't know how it could fly. I guess it flew. It must have been able to fly. I doubt it walked to Canada and back. But it was enormous. Its head was like armpit height on me. I could not believe it was like this thick. Its breast. You could feed several families on this goosedactyl. But the funniest, when I pulled in, I thought, this has got to be wrong. I got to be seeing that wrong. Somehow must be kind of an illusion with the revolving door and it just looks that big. So I drove up closer and closer. And as I got closer and closer, I realized just how massive this thing was. No, it was the John's asking the white goose. No, it was the gray with the black head. I'll find a picture. It was colossal. But the funniest part was there was a guy who wanted to leave work, and he was standing, having come out of the revolving door there, and he had his briefcase, and he was looking at it, and it was looking at him, and he was ready to dart back inside the building to get away from Gooseadactyl. Oh my God. Biggest goose ever. Needless to say, I didn't stick around. I drove to the other side of the parking lot to get the heck away from that thing. So Rory goes on, though, about asking about the Amish. He and Kay were talking about the marmot well-being, which is a very important topic of our age, and we'll have more shows dedicated entirely, maybe whole weeks, dedicated to groundhogs and marmots of various types. And I wanted to know about the Amish. Everybody I met seemed like nice people. I assume you're asking more about their lifestyle. The idea of being a Luddite and retreating from society, retreating from technology is suicidal. The Amish and the other varieties of similar groups that are in the U.S., that are elsewhere in the West, they are able to exist because we build a stable Western civilization that will enable them and enable that phenomenon to exist. So if it weren't the Amish and the other groups that are out there that are like the Amish, it would be other groups. Because we build Western civilization, that phenomenon is inevitable. But they seem like nice people, and they actually participated politically for Trump, and they may again in the future. I don't know, but they were. And when you buy their furniture, is wonderful. And I know that sometimes there are difficulties between these sorts of groups and the rest of the community, but I guess that's maybe also to be expected where you have such a big gap. But that's the kind of diversity, so heterogeneity, that we want in our world, and it's a neat thing. I have honked and waved at these kids when they have their carriages, and they'll go sometimes and park on the bridge when you're up in PA and you drive under the bridge, and they want to wave down. They want somebody to honk, and I don't know why. Most people don't seem to honk at them, but I will honk and give them a wave, and they get all happy, you know. And then there's also a video on the internet somewhere. I don't know what it's a runaway buggy. I don't know if it's Amish or one of the other types, but it's at nighttime. And the horse is running, and they take a hard left turn, and that carriage swings out, and it's actually throwing rooster tails of sparks. That's probably like the most badass Amish guy ever. Let me see. We got to keep rolling. Western Man got in here. Thank you, Rory, with $4 financial gift. Thank you, dear brother. And he writes, the attack on men and women is an attack on Western kind. It sure is. Very well stated. And when these things happen, we need to tell our brothers and sisters that that's exactly what it is. It's an attack on Western kind. Instead of just allowing them to break it down to, it's just an attack on motherhood, or it's an attack on white people. It's an attack on Western kind. And when non-white people do get harmed by these things, incidentally, they're collateral damage. And those folks, non-white people, good non-white people who have been harmed by anti-whiteism, they're going to be open to various degrees to helping to put an end to anti-whiteism, because their families are ruined, their lives are ruined as well. And it's because of the pretext of going after whatever that pretext is in the effort to victimize Western kind. So it might be that fathers are not needed And so therefore, a non-white man in a vis-a-vis his non-white wife and their children, he ends up being ousted either socially or legally, and that would not have otherwise happened, but for the presence of anti-whiteism. So those people are ripe to want to put an end to anti-whiteism. Thank you very much. And we have Yizz, the unifier, back again with another $3 financial gift. God bless you, sister. That's amazing. In regard to Wagner, where else in our sphere? She's talking about our Richard Wagner, who just showed up and financially gifted. Says he says the teachings here in Going Free helped him get through the toughest moments in his life, and that he and his fiancé will be naming their first child Jason after me. And he's got a new piece that he has dedicated to me. And so that's what Yizz is talking about here. She says, where else in our spheres do we see new lives made, lives improved, and new opportunities built? Nowhere else but us. We are the future for our people. Thank you so much, Yizz. We absolutely are. God bless you. That is wonderful. We have some comments from you all, and I'll take a look at what you're writing here, and we'll see exactly. We'll see if we can't find what our great Richard Wagner has produced, and then see if we can't give it a listen. I'm going to take a quick leap backward in time here in the live chat and find out. There's the great Jerome V is with us. 0022. Great to see you, brother. Cowboy is here. And you got to thank the great Forno, who's always with us. God bless you, brother. And Peter is here. Kingdom of Vinland is with us. And there's the great Reptile as well, is with us. Coca-Cola is also here. Great to see you. Remember, tag me as No White Guilt to have me respond, because I will miss, otherwise, almost certainly. Dom M, do you guys believe immigration should be limited, though, like it is in Israel and some other countries? It's a great question. Thank you for asking it. You know what I have power over, and what you have power over, and what everybody in the white sympathetic sphere has power over? We can put all that power together, and we can't do anything about immigration. What we need to, and what that I'm making a very real statement, not a flippant one. What happens too often is that in the white sympathetic sphere, explicit and implicit, is people get together and they talk about what should happen with war, what should happen with the national economy, what should happen with immigration, what should happen with all of these different things. And they are all things we can't do anything about. So what we focus on instead is, rest assured, we want white well-being. We don't want to be white erased from our civilizations. We create Western civilization. We create our great country of Canada, of the US, of New Zealand, of Australia. All of those countries we create. We don't want to be white erased from them. And that means we don't want the biospirits of other wonderful people around them, no matter how wonderful they are. We don't want their biospiritual manifestations to be so pronounced that we are pushed out. But the topic of immigration, where it should be limited, or if it should be limited, or how much here, or how much there, that is something that ultimately is childish to debate, because we cannot do anything about it. Instead, we would focus on, do you believe that it would be better to put up a billboard that says nowhiteguilt.org over Highway 87 versus Highway 36? That, my friend, is when you are doing something, because you have the ability to go out and lease a billboard. you have the ability there to put a meme curative like Hollywood Isn't History, nowhiteguilt.org on a billboard for thousands, tens of thousands, scores of thousands to see. So your question is marvelous because it enables us to get to speak to two things. Focus on the things we can do and then doing those things versus talking about things we can't change. And the consequences of those different approaches. So when we recapture our destiny, and that's we get to decide that. The anti-whites don't get to decide what that is. It happens on a personal level. It happens on a societal level. We're doing it all the time when we're going free of the meme pathogens that we're infected with, the anti-white ideas we're infected with. You know, when we're doing that, we're doing something productive to change the world, as opposed to, what do you think we should invade thus and such, or do you think we should be at war with thus and such? You know, it's one of the things that Dom, when I was working on the Hill, and I tried endlessly and fruitlessly, almost with every case of these conservatives. This is the nerve center of the conservative movement I worked for, was to get them to stop saying us and we when they talked about what America was doing, because it had nothing to do with us and we. So they were short-circuiting for their own victimization, the way they talked about these things. So they were saying that, why are we stealing all the money from the productive people and giving it to people who vote for a living instead of work for a living? They would say things like this. And I would say, we are not doing it. And if you ask your brain, why are we doing it? It will try to answer that question. And then what ends up happening is these people always have this giant question mark on their face because they don't know why they would do it. And their brain is searching for why they would do it when they wouldn't do it. So would we limit immigration or not limit immigration? We don't have the ability to decide. So you'll be much more productive and much happier with yourself. I'll tell you right now, if you're focused on, and everybody hearing this, not just Dom with this question, because I'm not saying Dom might just be asking a question to try to get an idea of like where the community is, which is great. No worries there at all. But somebody else hearing this might actually think that substance of activism for the well-being of Western kind is to just get together and debate whether immigration's good or whether this form or whether we should go to a different type of taxation. I would ask some of these guys, you know, over the years, I've worked simultaneously blue collar, white collar jobs. And sometimes these folks would be told, wouldn't matter what it was, blue collar, white collar. And they would be asking questions like this. And I would say, what do you do for a living again? You're not changing taxation. So instead of that kind of conversation, let's make it something that we can actually do. Thanks, Dom. Machiavellius Sucks says hello. Great to see you. 0022. Did bass guitarist play the guitar when he was there? I wish he had, but we talked about, and maybe at a future picnic and future events, we'll have that sort of thing. It'd be great. And it's going to be all white positive. And I could see it right now. We got Fourneau. We got all these champs. It'd be amazing. But he and I did talk about some opportunities for the future where we could collaborate in such a way. So keep your eyes open. We're looking forward to that sort of thing. Rory is there with talking to No White Clips about clipping out, making clips for the groundhogs, the groundhog conversation. Machiavellius says, are we supposed to have mercy for anti-whites? He says he doesn't have much. Mercy for them? No, anybody who's victimizing you, you defend yourself against. Did I say something like I was telling folks to have mercy? We're not in a position, to have to give mercy or to be able to be merciful, right? We're victimized. We don't talk about anti-whites here in the practice of going free as enemies, for example, because the word enemy implies some sort of equivalence of an ability to inflict harm. We don't have an ability to inflict harm on anti-whites the way they do on us at all. It's more like a child predator and a kidnapped child. So we talk about our victimizers. So I don't know what I might have said. If you could maybe clarify, I'll get back to your question. Let me see. We'll roll along. There's the great JK160. Let's get a big round of raucous emojis for JK160, who has started a dialogue with a colossal content creator. And it's the kind of thing that we need to be doing. That's really amazing and well done. That is really amazing. And this content creator is using the lexicon. So you might be the next person. Who knows? Maybe you're the one who ends up talking to Elon Musk and gets him to be interested in white well-being. So well done, and thank you so very much, good brother. Brent is here as well. Hello to you. And we're going to roll along. Peter says Jason is awesome. Well, I thank you. That's very kind. Christine is here. And what do we have? What else do we have? And I'll look at some comments that you all have that I grabbed off of the threads. Said Reptile talking about is that acetone strips for glass. Only this Yizz the unifier. Only people in positions of authority can grant mercy. We have no authority in our lands, so we cannot make that decision. The anti-whites certainly show us no mercy. Precisely. Well said. John Doe says, do you think Elon is already flirting with white positivity? I haven't seen, I mean, I don't follow the guy, but I haven't seen him say anything that made it seem like he is even aware of white well-being or white positive speech. What I have seen is that he clearly is someone who is called, feels himself called to take on the great evil of our age, which is anti-whiteism. And I'm sure you see where he tries to articulate that evil, sometimes like referred to as communist. And this is one of the signs of somebody who's like trying to grope inside of the story. If you can imagine this billionaire inside of the story, he's like groping to try to understand what this great evil is. You can see it, trying to name it. If he were to go free in his hands, he's such a systems genius. He would be through it in a second and things would start happening like you wouldn't believe. Not to mention with all the ability, all the money that he has there. Lockie is here. Great to see you. Oh, JK160 said, I think he means pity. Are we supposed to have pity? I don't know if I said that either. Pity them? No. You just defend yourself against anybody who, when it comes to an anti-white, we don't look out at a crowd and say, okay, those are anti-whites and those over there too, but not these here. We don't do that. We identify an anti-white by their decision to be anti-white. So if they're saying and they're committing acts of anti-whiteism, that makes them anti-white. That means they're victimizing us. We just defend ourselves. So no, I mean, we're not pitying them. You can feel on like I think maybe if I'm reading into it too much, I don't know, but like if you have a relative who has gone the way of anti-white and is ruining their lives because of it, can you feel pity for that person because they've become an anti-white? Sure. but not pity for an anti-white. I don't know if I'm reading too much or if that's exactly what you were looking for. Caleb is here. Hello to you. Tell your friends about Going Free. It's the best kept secret on the internet, at least until Elon Musk finds out. Ridgway says, what would Jason do about immigration if he were president? Well, if I run, I will put that out as a party platform. But as far as the practice of going free goes, we don't have the power to affect any change with immigration. But like I said, once again, we obviously don't want to see ourselves and our creations white erased from our civilization. Philosophicat is here. Hello, and how are you? I just saw the great white cat show up. Caesar is here. Hello there, and welcome. Okay, I'm going to turn back this way. I'm trying to do the Cash App over here on the phone, and it's slow, to say the least. But it looks like we're okay there. We haven't missed anybody. And we do have Rory over here with $3 more financial gift. And he writes with this: thank you so much, good brother. The only thing I didn't like about the Amish community was that they weren't prepared to fight for the country that accommodated them. Yeah. These days, however, I wouldn't blame them. Would you agree? It is despicable that you have a phenomenon, a community like the Amish community and others like them, I guess, that would not, exactly as you say, fight for the environment, the country, the civilization that enables them to live this pacifistic life, because they wouldn't be allowed to live that way everywhere. And maybe even by an invading army, they would not be allowed to live that way within the borders of an invading army. So that is, as far as I think the broadest sense and interpretation of the biospirit of the West is really considered a repugnant thing. I don't know if you had an invasion by, if it came right down to it. I mean, an Amish man, if someone is beating an Amish man, you're watching this, and somebody's beating or begins to beat an Amish man's wife and mother, I think the husband and the sons, they're going to step up. They'll go to battle to put an end to it. I don't know if there was an invasion, would and they could read the writing on the wall, would the Amish go to war? Boy, it sounds like the beginning of a very interesting novel. Maybe so. But I agree, it's a repugnant thing that they would not defend the country that enables them to live the way that they do. Now, when it comes to, you wouldn't blame them if they decided not to go to war. Yes, because our countries are clearly dominated by anti-whites, and any war that they set off, any expedition that they set off to wage elsewhere would be for the benefit of anti-whites. Now, as far as an invasion is concerned, that could be very different, because, of course, Rory's a military man, and you know that you can lose different portions of territory, and it waxes and wanes throughout combat, and you do have a scenario in an invasion scenarios where you might have to go to war with and fight for folks who are not on your side necessarily, in order to protect your life, your family, your belongings. And that would be a case where, folks, they couldn't get away from ending up having to fight in their own personal defense. So, yeah, I agree with you completely, though. And that's the great Rory Herbert. Let me look over here and make sure we didn't miss anybody. And looks good. Looks like we didn't miss anybody. Nice. So let me get on to some of these comments really quickly. I got to see this also, if we can pull up this wonderful new piece by our very own Richard Wagner. And if you all have any more questions before we sign off this gathering, bringing into this wonderful gathering today, then let me know by tagging me on one of our platforms, and I will get to it. We have Marie writes here, green screen or not, a green screen or not is not my business, but I do like the current setup. It's very authentic, and you come across as sincere and genuine, and that's important. Learning to be white sympathetic can be very difficult for some people, as they might fight against the conditioning from birth to hate all things white. They need comfort and confidence to start their journey to self-acceptance, self-excellence, and advocacy. I agree completely. And I wouldn't do like some sort of a, like a full green screen Starship Enterprise background or something like this. This is just not who I am. But I will put up a flag of myself drinking from coffee. The great Groundhog Fury is here commenting, ladies and gentlemen. He writes, awesome show. Although ever since that fitness wellness, we wanted to get back to that. I do have to get back to that, and we will. I want to speak to his specific questions there in detail. What does he say here at the bottom about Scorch? Regarding Groundhog Fitness, I will read this, though. Regarding Groundhog Fitness, burrowing is great for lats and abs, but you need push-ups to build a chest like Scorch. Finish up with some spear thrusts on the heavy bag for good measure. That's great. The great Naderific, ladies and gentlemen, another true champion. We'll have to have him back soon, writes here. On Sunday, I was at a local farmers meetup. Some of the guys were chatting about some current state of things. Another guy in the group said, quote, there's an interesting number of groups speaking up about how anti-family, and I think we touched upon this before, anti-Christian, anti-tradition, and anti-white, everything has become. And they're all valid. There were plenty of agreeing head nods and not a single disagreeing sound, gesture, or word was heard. Anti-white is becoming normalized among average folks. I love it. And that's because of our doing, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. I mean, we actually had, I won't say who, but one guy saying, attempting to say, no, this is a natural phenomenon. The anti-whites have done this to themselves. Yeah. Really talk about a classless, just the great Reptile who is with us. And I met this, I wanted to say too, about this picnic. What a beautiful tapestry of Western kind. I mean, we had various hues of skin, all of the colors of hair and eye color. It was really beautiful. And white people, we love it. That's how it should look. That is absolutely how it should look. One of the first guys I never met for the first time, never met before on the internet or anywhere. So one of the first, folks who was an actual stranger to me up to that moment was a very healthy gentleman, fit, and had red hair and blue eyes. Just wonderful environment. That is the kind of diversity we love. We don't need, this is one of the worst things that anti-whites have done to us, is to take that genuine desire. I mean, this is how we became so heterogeneous in our appearances, is because of our love of that variety. And they've taken this and they've said, you love diversity, so here is your diversity, something that completely replaces you. Something that completely white erases you, I should say. Great Reptile said, our family's traditions, skills, and values are our very essence of our people. They are the biospiritual instincts we project onto our environment and building blocks of Western civilization. By embracing what we are, we enrich who we become. Go free with no white guilt. That's magnificent. That's brilliantly written, brother. Thank you. Let's see, what else do we have here? We have the great Jubilation Media. Lovely Porridge from Down Under. He writes, everything about Will Smith is fake. His wife's loyalty, his children's genders, his religion, his entire image, all fake. I think the slap was an attempt to live up to his on-screen persona. The intelligent, tough, funny, cool, brave, righteous, down-to-earth, hardworking, impeccable black man. But he misjudged the situation and the reaction. The Will Smith character rode the wave of millennial nostalgia. He was the lovable teen dork in a tacky sitcom. But Hollywood needed him to be some wise, inspirational black messiah figure. All these actors need to get over themselves because we are over them. Anti-whites are just not as smart and entertaining as they once were. But their slaps are always real. Fantastically written, brother. Thank you so much. He is a wit as ever. Again, we have the best. We have the smartest. And you know what? It's when we had our environments and we had wonderful non-white people come from around the world, and they looked at Western civilization and they wanted to be a part of it, and they wanted to contribute. It was a wonderful thing. And we brought them in, and it was wonderful to have these folks from other places around the world. They were, these folks were polite, they were respectful, and the anti-whites took that, and they took those good relationships that we had with peoples, and they smashed them. They just ruined everything because they decided, no, this is not about you having a percentage or whatever it might be, an amount of folks from other places in the world that didn't upset the balance of your biospiritual projection and the civilization that you created and they voted with their feet to become a part of. It's not about that. It's about white erasing you. So we're just going to flood your countries until everything is white erased. So what did it do to those relationships? Well, it ruined them. It ruined the relationships we had with each other. You go to these places and you've seen the studies and you know it, you live it. The more multiracial an environment, and therefore the more anti-white, the less civic engagement, the less volunteerism, fewer clubs, fewer community participatory environments. People don't talk to each other. They don't look in each other's eyes. You know exactly what I'm talking about. The opposite. You go to these small towns, these places where, and I'm sure the exact same thing occurs for non-white people when they go to an environment where it's all their people. You're a white person, you go to a town that's all white, and then suddenly you go into a bar and like they might have pool tables there, and strangers like, hey, you want to play a game of pool? And you're like, what are you people doing? Why are you talking to me? Why are you even looking at me? When you come from a multiracial environment, all of that human interaction is gone. It's just ruined. And that's what anti-whiteism does for everybody. All right, we'll see what's left here. And then I want to see if I can play our magnificent. Where did it go? All right, let's pull this up right now. I don't know if I can play this for people to hear. Because if I play it, it might be, and it comes through the microphone, it's going to be just awful. So let me see if I can download it. And then I still don't know because I don't have a video to put it to. That's the problem. over this platform. Oh, you know what maybe I can do? Because we can figure these things out. Maybe I could tell you all a story. Do you want to hear another story? Do you want me to make something up? Do you want me to? I'm sure there's a way we can pass the time together. All right. Can we do this or not? No? Yes? Right now, Fernald's probably pulling his hair out saying, there's a way to do it. Okay. Well, no, it doesn't look like I can add a background music, which would be, so it might come down to having to just play it through the mic, really, and then we could have it on, unless I could do this live. Let me close this. All right. We'll see if we can make this. Summer is with us. Pants is with us. Ian and Alex and Nancy Drew. Looks like the stars are coming out as we move into the bottom of the 10 o'clock hour here on the East Coast of the United States. And does anybody know where their president is? Is he in his house? I should drive you all over there one of these days. Start a stream here and then head on over to, jump in the car, invite myself as my own guest on my own stream, jump in the car, and then head on over to the White House. And we can, I don't know, stand outside the White House together and holler at the old fool. Come on out. Or maybe we can get that representative, or that, what was he, White House staff? Mr. Bates, maybe we can get him to come out. That would be great. All right, we'll do this. We're gonna put this visual to this, and I'll put the verbiage to it later, so that, and watch, it actually might be, I don't know, how long is it? Where'd it go? Don't see it. Oh, you know what? Maybe I gotta zoom in. I could be brazen like this. No. Don't know where it went. So we'll just have to give it another go here. There we go. Now we see something. So this is going to be a wonderful piece once we're done with it. All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to happen. Brandon is getting ice cream. Yep, he probably is. They're probably finding him some. What did he have on that when he was on the trip and they caught him getting the ice cream? What were the flavors? Or did he have to fight that guy from his youth again to get the ice cream? What was the guy? Corn Pop. That was his name, wasn't it? Yes, Corn Pop. So this should work, or I should say it might work. It's a first for going free. It should be there. I'm not seeing it. Is it here? No. Oh, no, it's not there. Well, what the heck? Oh, okay. That's what we got to do. So we're almost there. Corn Pop. He was quite the man. Here we go. Okay, we'll just do this. Now we have the machine choking on. Don't choke on it. I know it's big, but don't choke. It's not worth it. Jack says he's a fan of chocolate chip ice cream. Choco chip. Oh God, that sounds. Is it good? Maybe that's what did his brain in. All of his Choco chip. So what I did was I took one of with the maypole. I think Mr. V made it. Meme. And I've used that as the visual for Richard Wagner's audio, because I need that for this platform to be able to play. And we'll end on that, because it's the most wonderful thing ever that our Richard Wagner shows back up after being gone for a while. He gives a wonderful testimonial about going free, helping him through the toughest spot in his life. Now he's got this wonderful fiancé, and they've decided to name their first child after yours truly. And he created a new composition for me, and that's truly beautiful. It is truly beautiful. So we will now listen, and this will be the first time I'm listening to it as well. And then I think if we haven't missed anybody, I think we'll be then bringing in a conclusion to the gathering today. It's been wonderful. A Monday after such a magnificent White Positive picnic. You really missed it. Next time, I hope that I can stream all. I was busy this time, so I will make more time to be able to stream from the event, so you can see how glorious it is. And you won't be seeing the people, except for those who want to come on camera. It was so great, actually, because while I was there and streaming, I had Yizz come over. She sat right beside me. We had a wonderful conversation about the picnic and the festivities. We'll do that again, and it's going to be a heck of a lot of fun. We'll continue growing. It's going to be a really wonderful rest of the year and a decade to come, because we're making the changes that need to be made for us to recapture our destiny. It's us or it's nobody. We're having the success, and you never know. We see people being called to fight, to contend with this great evil, anti-whiteism, from all backgrounds. White people who don't even really care about white people, but they see the destruction of Western civilization and they want to put an end to it. They're being called from many different sectors and spheres and circles of our society. And when they do, they're going to be looking for the best description, the best understanding of what that great evil is, because they know with that understanding, they'll be able to contend with it. They'll be able to find answers to it. You might look at where we are today and say, well, we haven't gone very far. Maybe you don't know exactly all the successes we've had in going free, saving people's lives and changing the way the conversation is discussed by putting things into our story, forcing the anti-whites to do the same. You might not be aware of it, but you will be. You will be soon enough. If you're hearing about this at all now, you've come across one of us discussing these things, one of the practitioners of Going Free, a wonderful human being, throwing a picnic or sharing their testimonial in a live chat somewhere else. And once you see it, you'll see more of it. Once you're empowered with the concepts, you'll use them. And then you never know. There are context shifting things that happen all the time. And Elon Musk is out there, just bought 10% of Twitter, and him or somebody else, they could find out about Going Free. They could see the good that it's doing for people, the truth that is in the heart of the practitioners. And they could decide, this is it. This is the remedy. This is what I'm going to put my genius and intelligence and money behind. And then truly everything begins to happen quite rapidly. This is what we've talked about from the very beginning. Those who have been here the longest, we've talked about context shifting things. A pandemic can be a context shifting thing, a natural disaster, a war, a billionaire deciding to support you. Who knows? But when you see things like Richard Wagner and what's happening, what was happening with his life and how the practice pulled him through, and now so much so grateful that he and his fiancé are going to name their child Jason. When you see all of the people that Yizz is able to bring together and the great effect that it's had on her life and on reptiles' lives, so many folks change their lives. When you see that, you see the potential for something like a Musk to come along and change everything. Now let's together hear the beautiful music of our very own Richard Wagner, new composition for us and the work that we're doing for White Wellbeing. God bless you, Richard. Much love to you and your wife. I love you all. Let's go free.